winning it all in 1984, the first time they had won the national championship since 1962, as they beat Hamilton 47-17. Both the Argos and the Bombers are Grey Cup contenders again this season. And they meet this afternoon and next Sunday in Winnipeg in a home-and-home series that could well determine where they finish in their respective divisions.
The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. The best of Canadian professional football, the CFL on CBC. Welcome to Carling O'Keefe, CFL football. And now, for all the action, let's join our CBC commentary team.
This afternoon, the Toronto Argonauts will be trying to strengthen their grip on first place in the East, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers trying to improve their hold on third in the Western Conference. Hi, everyone. I'm Don Whitman along with Ron Lancaster. And Ron, over the years, when Winnipeg and Toronto have met, usually entertaining, exciting football. This afternoon should be no exception.
They both like to throw the football. They want it in the air. They both think they have great receivers. We're going to have a great one.
Winnipeg feels that as a unit, they may have the four best receivers in the league. I think as a quarterback, you would like to throw to this four.
Would have loved to have him. Are they something or not? James Murphy has been the leading receiver all year, and he's been making big catches for them. The man, Joe Poplawski, has made the big catches inside when the going is tough. Now, last week, they had to make some decisions. Perry Tuttle, the wide receiver, moved into the slot. He showed that he belonged. It's a little different in there, but he got loose for 85 yards and a touchdown, and he's happy to be anywhere. Now, the man that they were looking for, Jeff Boyd, comes back. He had over 1,200 yards the year before. He made his presence felt in a hurry when he took the first pass that he caught from John Huffnagel, goes 80 yards for a touchdown. What a beginning, and I know if I'm in John Huffnagel's shoes, I got to be very happy with that week.
A big week for John Huffnagel as he passed Winnipeg to that 39-14 triumph over Montreal. His play earned him selection as Pacific Western Star of the Week. Defensively, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers also have a solid four at the linebacking spot.
May be the best in the league right there, too. The four of those guys do one thing. They get to the football in a hurry. As best seen right here. You're normally going to find two linebackers in on every hit, and it doesn't matter whether it's a quarterback or a running back. They're there.
Well, the Toronto Argonaut starting quarterback, Conrad Holloway, would certainly like to see those four kept off his back this afternoon. Holloway is going to start. In the past couple of games, though, J.C. Watts has come on in relief.
Yeah, Toronto's very fortunate. You know, they have three veteran quarterbacks on this roster in Holloway, Watts, and Tim Cowan. But the big thing is Conrad Holloway is the man that's supposed to get the job done for him. He's had a break now. He's healthy. And when Conrad Holloway is going properly, the Toronto Argonauts are tough to stop. He's the guy, I think, that's going to determine the outcome of the Argonaut 86 season.
Well, Holloway or Watts or Tim Cowan, whoever is at the controls, will have some new people to work with today. Cedric Minter returns, and they've also got a new wide receiver in Keith Baker, who last saw CFL action with the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Well, both of them we know can play football. The big question that they need answered today is whether Keith Baker and Cedric Minter can do the things that they did 2 years ago. If they can, then they've got a great offense to work with. If they're not, we'll see Craig Ellis back because he has done a good job since coming over to the Argos.
And I imagine Conrad Holloway is also pleased to see the giant at tackle, Chris Schultz, returning to the team.
Oh, I think any quarterbacks like those big linemen, but Chris Schultz at 6'8". The other day, Coach Ellis Rainsberger was talking about him, about how he will solidify that offensive line. And right now, Conrad Holloway says that's the best offensive group he's had to work with all year.
Well, they may have improved offensively for this game, but they may be a little weaker defensively. Their outstanding rookie, Willie Pless, is sidelined with an injury. They've replaced him with Gary Moulton.
Yeah, that's too bad because Willie Pless is not a big man to begin with, but he was having an outstanding season as the outside linebacker with the Argos. Well, he's injured and he's gone, and he's going to be gone for a while. So Gary Moulton, recently acquired from Saskatchewan, steps in. He's got a big job to do today. Well, we'll be just about set for the opening kickoff, and we're going to go back to Brian Williams. But, Brian, I've been meaning to ask you, and this opening brought it to mind today. When you were in the picture with the Grey Cup, how come you were hiding from all those players?
Let me tell you something, Lancaster. Those guys were all standing on chairs. I'm really taller than every one of them. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CFL Control in Toronto. As we continue with week number 14 of this 1986 season, there was one game played last night that was up at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa. The Hamilton Ticats and the Ottawa Rough Riders. Mike Kerrigan and the Ticats have found an aerial attack. Kerrigan to Tony Champion. This touchdown made it 14-8 Hamilton. Ticats going on to win that football game by 20 points. We take a look at the Eastern standings. Hamilton is at 500. Well, those are the Western standings. Let's talk about the West first. Don't forget, Calgary and Saskatchewan this afternoon. Either team can still make the playoffs. Winnipeg has 2 games to go with the BC Lions and 1 with Edmonton. And now the Eastern standings. All right, Hamilton at 500. Toronto, the only team with a winning record. As far as the playoffs are concerned, it is all over for both Ottawa and Montreal. Coming up at halftime, we will look in detail at the veteran Toronto quarterbacks. There are 3 of them, and we'll talk with Dr. Frank Cosentino, the head football coach at York University, former CFL quarterback, about the relationship between university football and the CFL. Stay with us. The CFL on CBC will continue right after this.
September here in Toronto, although the breeze blowing in off the lake could be a factor as the game progresses. The man in charge this afternoon is Jacques DeCarry, and in just a moment, the officiating staff will get this game underway. Conrad Holloway drawing the starting assignment for the Toronto Argonauts. You know, watching Conrad suit up, he has to arrive at the ballpark about 3 hours ahead of the game just to get on all the protective gear that he does wear. A brace on his left knee, a rather sizable brace. He was laughing when we were talking with him. He said, "It's beginning to creak. I think it needs some oil." On the other side of the field, the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the 4th consecutive start for John Hufnagel since taking over from the injured Tom Clements. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers head man Cal Murphy, twice chosen CFL Coach of the Year. And on the other side of the field, Bob Obilovich has also earned Coach of the Year honors. And these 2 gentlemen would like to meet not only again next Sunday in Winnipeg, but the final Sunday in November under the Dome in Vancouver. They wouldn't mind at all if they played 2 more games after this one.
The big thing about it is that they have the opportunity to do that. It's in their hands. That outcome they're going to have to decide, but these 2 are definitely contenders to meet in Vancouver. There's no doubt about that.
The opening kickoff to James Murphy as this game gets underway. James Murphy works his way out to the 35-yard line before he is stopped by Warren Hudson. So that's where the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will scrimmage under the direction of John Hufnagel.
Made the tackle.
Well, Hufnagel had the big game last week, 368 yards throwing the football. That's not bad. No turnovers, and that's the key. And there's Jeff Boyd, 80 yards last week. What a beginning. Tuttle in the slot. He seems to be happy in there. And that offensive line, they give him good protection. They haven't given up very many quarterback sacks, and that's the key in this game as it is in all of them.
And I think we might see, with Winnipeg having basically 3 wide receivers in there, the Bombers, throughout the course of the game, send 3 receivers to the same side of the field. There's an injured Winnipeg player. Pat Cantner is down. He was hurt in trying to block on that kickoff return by James Murphy. At this time, we would also like to say hello to not only all of our Canadian viewers on the CBC network, but also those who are looking in the United States via ESPN. We hope you enjoy the action from CNE Stadium in Toronto. It's been a busy weekend. Our technical crew working the game last night at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, and an early start this morning to get the equipment and gear set up here at CNE Stadium for this telecast.
Pat Cantner is such a strong person on the special teams. You know, he usually gets into the offensive side of the football when they need blocking. Sean Kehoe is usually the ball carrier. Cantner goes in there when they need blocking, and on the special teams, he's been one of the leaders, so they certainly don't want to lose him on the opening kickoff.
Therapist Ross Hodgkinson out there with Cantner, making sure he's okay, and it appears as though he is, as the University of British Columbia product is up and jogging off to that Winnipeg bench. So Winnipeg with the 3 wide receivers, basically, although Tuttle has been moved to the slot back position. And very early, they are going to send all 3 to the same side. Although Tuttle comes in motion back across the formation. That hitch pass to James Murphy. Murphy working one-on-one outside. He did a pretty good job. A couple of stutter steps to convert that pass into an 8-yard gain when it looked as though he might have been stopped after a pickup of just a couple.
Well, the defensive line, Rodney Harding with 7 quarterback sacks, has been the leader. Mark Seal gets the opportunity to start today. A lot of times he's the backup. Gary Moulton, we talked about, is getting his first chance here, taking over for Willie Pless, who was injured in the secondary. Pretty good group. Having a tough year with interceptions. They haven't gotten that many. Their leaders are their corners, and that's where it should be, Parker and Marcellus Green.
Well, Pat Kantner apparently is okay. He is back in. And the pitch goes to James Sykes, but he is stopped by Rodney Harding. He lost yardage on the play, hit right at the 40-yard line. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are stopped in their first offensive series under John Hufnagel, and they will be forced into a punting situation. Hufnagel with that big game, throwing for 368 yards in the triumph over the Montreal Alouettes last week.
This is a big part of the game right here, the kicking game, because when you're playing Toronto, Ellis kicks the ball so far. The big thing, Cameron's a good punter, but he's going to have a good day to keep field position.
99.
Penalty flag is down as the ball is taken by Chris Woods, and Woods is stopped at the 35-yard line. Now, there was a penalty flag way downfield. Now, the Argos may be charged with too many men on the field or an illegal substitution. But that penalty flag was down where the 2 punt returners were standing.
They have 13 players out there.
So I think they are going to get charged, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will retain possession. We have not yet had any official indication from referee Jacques Decarie, but it does appear as though there was a miscue somewhere on that Argonaut bench. You see Bob Ubilovich shaking his head.
Too many men, Toronto, first down.
That's a thing that coaches hate to see, because that's a mistake that shouldn't happen. You know what team you're on. If you're on there, get on the field. If you're not, stay on the sidelines. And that's 10 yards and a first down that Winnipeg shouldn't have. And that, you don't like to give up anything at the best of times, but not at the start of a game.
You saw Ubilovich looking at his notes to see who was supposed to be on that punt return team. Winnipeg retaining possession with that penalty. Hufnagel throwing to Sean Kehoe. That will be close to a first down. He's taken out of bounds at the Toronto Argonaut 50-yard line.
Safe, high percentage pass. If he's not open, just throw it out of bounds. He's open, picks up good gain, first down. That's what you want to do. Just keep that offense on the field, get a feel for that defense, then you can go to work on them.
Cal Murphy may have some words for Sean Kehoe after the game, because when Kehoe went out of bounds, he collided with the Winnipeg coach and sent him flying.
Well, they won't be nice words then.
First and 10 from the 50 of the Toronto Argonauts. Hufnagel over the middle. Poplawski is open. First down inside the 30-yard line. Paul Tripoli was there to make the tackle. Hufnagel faked as though he was going to the flat and then hit Poplawski over the middle.
Well, you see the linebackers. Look at the hole right in the middle. Hufnagel just waited till he cleared. He cleared outside past Gary Moulton and hits Poplawski. That's where Poplawski makes most of his catches, right in the middle of the field. That's tough in there.
First and 10, Winnipeg. They are at the 28 of the Argos. Again, Tuttle in motion across the formation. Hand off to James Sykes. That inside running is tough, as the Argos were prepared for it with David Marshall from the linebacking position moving up to make the tackle.
The reason it's tough to run it is this is Rodney Harding standing in here. He's a defensive end, so they get the pressure from here. He's coming up the middle. It's not a normal 4-3 alignment. He is a defensive end standing in a linebacker spot, and it's just confusing the blocking. Mark Moores had to try to block back. He couldn't reach him.
A gain of 1 at 2nd and 9, Winnipeg. 11:41 is the time remaining in this opening quarter. Hufnagel will get a chance to throw as he is caught by Gerald Bayless and dropped for a loss back at the 39-yard line.
This was just straight strength. Watch him take Mark Moores and take him right back to the quarterback. Look at him. He just shoves him back, finally gets rid of him, makes the sack. That's power. That's all that is. No finesse in that. Just line up and run over him if you can.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers line up in field goal formation, and they welcome back to the lineup this afternoon Trevor Kennard, who established that CFL scoring record last season with 198 points. The kick is wide, but Tripoli in the end zone will concede a single point. So the Blue Bombers are first on the board. A missed field goal try going for a single off the foot of Trevor Kennard with 11:08 remaining in this opening quarter. In talking with Argo quarterback Conrad Holloway before the game, his outlook was most optimistic, and that mainly due, I think, to the presence of 3 new people.
Well, Cedric Minner, he's played with before, and as we said in the opening, if Minner can do what he did for him before, that's a plus. Keith Baker can catch the football, and I think Chris Schultz up on the line, that's what solidifies him. So if they can get the production out of these 3, he's happy with that offensive group. Maybe he can put it together the rest of the year, and they can get to Vancouver, because that's what it's all about.
Well, it's looking very much as though the Eastern Championship will be decided in a total point home-and-home series under the new playoff format, with Toronto going against Hamilton.
And when they get together, anything can happen. That's a great rivalry, and that'll be some great football in those 2 games.
First and 10 for the Argos. They are at their own 35-yard line. The pass complete to Baker, and Baker has a gain of about 7. James Jefferson was over to make the tackle. One of the advantages the Argos had in inserting the new people into the lineup was the break in the schedule. They had 2 weeks to prepare Baker, Minter, and Schultz for the play.
That's a big plus, too, because you try to do it in 4 days and get ready to play on the 5th. You're asking too much, but as Schultz said before the game, it took a lot of adjustment.
Second down, the pitch to Cedric Minter. He gets outside. He gets the first down, and he's forced out at the 49-yard line.
Well, Conrad Holloway, 13 touchdowns, only 7 intercepted, and that's been the key to his performance all the way along. We said Cedric Minter back in there. We saw him run. We're going to see a lot of him. Keith Baker, Darrell Smith join him. Chris Woods, though, is still the speed guy outside. And Chris Schultz on that offensive line, as their coach Rainsberger said, that'll solidify him.
First down from the 49. Holloway getting good protection, throwing complete to Pearson. Pearson is caught by Benny Thompson, but he'll be close to another first down. Paul Pearson, the leading Argonaut receiver on the season. A little pushing and shoving after the whistle had gone, but nothing more develops, fortunately.
Hassan Arbelbacher back in at that defensive end after sitting out last week's game. The linebacker foursome hasn't changed all year, and they're good. This is the strength of the Winnipeg defense. Good secondary now. James Jefferson playing on that corner. He's starting to feel at home, and they can pick him off.
First down from the 50 of Winnipeg. Holloway trying to get out of there, throwing for Baker, incomplete. He was being forced by James West and Tyrone Jones. It will be second and 10 from the 50. Holloway appears to be getting more time than he was accustomed to earlier in the season.
Well, there's not many quarterbacks that throw well from their back. You've got to give that quarterback time. This time what he had going was Chris Woods one-on-one on Roy Bennett. He wanted to come to the short side of the field. Bennett had great coverage on him. That's what forced Conrad to try to scramble out of there and find somebody else.
Second and 10. The ball is at the 50. Winnipeg leading by a score of 1-0 with 8:57 remaining in this opening quarter. Holloway going deep for Chris Woods.
Well, we just talked about one-on-one coverage. You get Chris Woods on any defensive back, and with his speed, if you give the quarterback time, he will run by him sooner or later. He got by Bennett, and I don't think a quarterback can overthrow Chris Woods very easily. He threw that out there. He went and got it.
Chris Woods has that great speed, and he ran under that throw from Conrad Holloway as the Auburn product puts the Argos in front. And Lance Chomick will attempt to add the extra point. He puts it through, and with 8:44 remaining in the first quarter, it's now a 7-1 ball game. Toronto in front on the strength of the Chris Woods touchdown, and we'll be back with the Argonaut kickoff right after this. Yes, that should be an interesting match from historic St. Andrews as Chris Woods rests on the bench after scoring that 50-yard touchdown on the strike from Conrad Holloway.
Well, you saw Woods over here all by himself. One receiver to this side that puts Roy Benham on him one-on-one. He threw that ball as far as he could throw it, but Woods has the great speed. You're going to have a hard time overthrowing him. He just goes and gets it. That's what a receiver has to do. Nice catch. Over the shoulder, over the head, pulls it in. Stumbles in the end zone, but who cares? It's still 6 points.
Okay. On the backside?
Holloway getting some instruction from upstairs, and I don't think he needs too much help the way he has started with his first offensive series, driving the Argonauts in for the major score. Hank Ellis kicking it to James Murphy at the 5-yard line. Murphy was tripped up, fumbles the football, but I think the whistle had gone. The Bombers will retain possession.
Yeah, there won't be much argument about it. The ball came loose after the whistle. You could hear it, and nobody on the sidelines was complaining. They knew the play was dead.
Warren Hudson pulled the feet out from under James Murphy. John Hufnagel with a 2-1 record since assuming the quarterbacking duties, the starting job for the Blue Bombers after the injury to Tom Clements. He could very easily be 3-0, except for that final play field goal attempt by Joe Poplawski against the Calgary Stampeders that was blowing wide. Hufnagel will run it, and he's forced out of bounds at the 37-yard line. A gain of 5. It will be 2nd and 5 Winnipeg.
That's never been one of his strong suits, is running the football, but he got away with it, picked up about 6 yards. 5 yards anyway, that's all that matters.
Cover 2, you'll go to the corner. Yeah.
No, cover 2, I'm still trying to bust 691, right? Yeah, right, 691. Talking about how to attack cover 2 defense, too deep, everybody else short. It's a different defense to attack, and everybody has to know what they're doing until Conrad holds the clinic.
2nd and 5 from the 37. Bayless again has Hufnagel. The ball pops away, but he was in the grasp of the Toronto defensive lineman, and the play was whistled down back at the 31-yard line.
Well, once again, this is just straight power. There he is, Gerald Bayless, number 99, working on Mark Morris. He hits him, gets to the outside, and when you free somebody up the middle, the quarterback is in trouble. There's nowhere to go. Took care of him pretty good. That was pretty close to being a fumble, but he's in the grasp. He doesn't have to go down.
Chris Woods and Darrell Smith are back for this 3rd down kick by Bob Cameron. Again, not a particularly good kick, and it goes out of bounds at the 52-yard line. That wind may be an increasing factor blowing in off the lake. That kick by Cameron traveled only 26 yards. At the start of the ball game, it didn't look as though it was blowing that hard.
Well, just looking at the flags on top of the stadium, it's blowing pretty good right into the Bombers' face. And Bob Cameron's a pretty good punter against the wind, but he's having problems with it here today.
So Holloway gets ideal field position once again to start an offensive series from the 52-yard line. 1st and 10 Toronto. They lead it by a score of 7-1. 7:03 is the time left in this opening quarter. Holloway throwing deep for Woods again. Again, he's got it. Touchdown. But there's a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. It will be called back by a holding call.
Coach Rainsberg, the offensive line coach, isn't too happy. He was out on the field hollering. Boy, you hate to see a touchdown taken off the board, but they caught somebody for holding. But once again, Woods showed great speed and just going by Roy Bennett again. Excellent throw, well executed, all but for this.
Holding Toronto number 20, 1st down repeated.
Cedric Minter was guilty of the holding call. What a costly penalty that is, wiping out the touchdown strike from Holloway to Chris Woods.
Right on the left side of the screen. Number 20 is blocking on Delbert Fowler, number 72.
Not much doubt about a holding violation there as he virtually tackled the linebacker to bring him down. There's that hit screen to Baker. He faked it as though he was going to throw. And then he's caught from behind by James West, but he'll have about 10 yards of the first and 20 that the Argos were facing.
I really think he was going to throw the football. When he threw the hitch pass out to Keith Baker, he was behind the quarterback. So watch where he catches it. He looks downfield. I think he's looking for Paul Pearson. He never got out, so he does what he'd better do is pull it down and run. Now, he gained a lot of yardage, but on the yardsticks, he got 11, so he's very fortunate.
The injured player is Hassan Abubakar, and he has moved into that defensive end position. When the Winnipeg Blue Bombers decided to go with the 3 import receivers, moving Perry Tuttle to the slot back position after Jeff Boyd re-signed with the team, they dropped Abubakar. John Sturdivant played defensive end last week against Montreal. Abubakar wasn't particularly happy with that decision, but the coaching staff added him back to the roster for this game, and now very early there is concern because they are looking at his knee as he continues to lay on the artificial surface here at CNE Stadium.
You know, and one of the things, this is one man that they really can't afford to lose off this defensive unit. You know, you look at Rob Brodanovic on the other side, he's only in his second start. Stan Mikowicz is on the nose. It's going to bring Bob Molly into the game. They're going to be very short on experience and size up on that defensive line, and there's some pretty big tackles that they fight with every play, and they need pressure on Holloway.
Well, Holloway so far has had pretty good protection, as evidenced by the fact he's been unable to load for 2 bombs to Chris Woods, one of them wiped out by that holding call. But this doesn't look good, the time they're spending with Abubakar and looking at that injured right knee. We'll return to CNE Stadium and continue our coverage right after this. Yes, the New York Mets, who have designs on a world championship this year, and many thought that the Expos would be a lot closer to them in the final race for that National League Eastern pennant.
This is the leg to watch right here, the right leg. He will try to jump over Chris Schultz, and that leg lands on the ground, and it almost looks like it hyperextends or something because he really comes down hard on it. Watch, he's going to jump. Schultz is going to try to hit this leg, but when he lands, watch that right leg as it lands on the ground right there. It's not the one Schultz was even throwing at. He landed on the other one, and he's in a lot of pain.
So Abubakar comes off, and that means that Kevin Molly will go into the ball game, or Bob Molly, I should say, goes into the ball game. He'll move in at nose guard. Stan Mikowicz will go to defensive end. Deep again for Chris Woods. This time it's intercepted by Roy Bennett. Bennett still on his feet, back in his own zone, and is stopped finally at the 28-yard line.
It almost looks like the Toronto Argonauts decided to play long ball with Roy Bennett. That's 3 long passes they've thrown. They've hit 2. One was nullified. It came back, and then the third one's intercepted. But they look like they're going to take time and go after him deep, and he's getting time to throw it, and that's going to be the key to today's game. It's a good interception by Bennett. He's got good position, makes the catch. Paul Pearson tries to make the tackle here, and he's going to fall off of him. And then watch the block I think that Flagle's going to throw on Pearson as he gets up. Puts him right back on his back. But a good return, but the Bombers are going to have to move the football against the wind.
1st and 10, Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers at their own 28-yard line. Intended for Sean Keogh. He was being defended by Carl Brazeley. It will be 2nd and 10. Brazeley had one more step. He had 6 points.
Well, he sure did. If John wanted to throw it away, he should have thrown it to Coach Obilovich standing over there because Brazeley had excellent position on him. Roy Bennett ought to be a little tired. He's breathing a little heavy. They've chased him deep 3 times already, and he's an excellent one-on-one coverer, too. So they're not picking on any slouch. He's got 6 interceptions this year. That's number 7.
2nd and 10, Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers at their own 28-yard line. They trail by a score of 7-1. Pass complete to James Murphy. 1st down, Winnipeg at the 42-yard line.
covered about as well as you can cover him. Gary Parker is right on James Murphy, but when you run that turn in, if the ball's thrown properly, the defensive back doesn't have a chance. Murphy got the hands on it and caught it.
What an outstanding year he is having, coming into the game with 81 receptions, leading the league not only in receptions, but in yardage with 1,187 yards. Huffnagel throwing to the sidelines for James Murphy again. That will be close to another first down.
That's a good job by Murphy. Huffnagel definitely wanted to come to this side of the field with it. You saw him look this way and everything was covered. Murphy just went down and turned out and just sat on the sidelines. Now Huffnagel knows where he is. He gets in trouble. He finds him. Murphy makes a good move and picks up a 1st and 10. Just gets past the marker.
The Bombers at their own 52-yard line with 4:31 left in this opening quarter. Actually, they reposition the ball. They give them an additional yard, moving it out to the 43 or 53-yard line. Murphy with 3 catches in this game, a league-leading total of 84. Huffnagel is caught and dropped by Don Moan. He couldn't find the receiver open, attempted to roll out of there to his right, and Moan, who had initially been blocked out of the play, got back into the fray and made the tackle.
Well, he had no one open because the Argonauts had all his receivers over here covered pretty well. He pulled it down and tried to make the best of a bad situation, but as you see, Don Moan was there to make the sack.
Back at the 50-yard line, it will be 2nd and 13, Winnipeg. It was intended for James Murphy. David Marshall is the man who got a hand on that throw and knocked it into the air, and there were 2 Toronto defensive backs who came close to picking it off.
Almost. They blitzed number 2, Carl Brazeley, from a halfback position, but as a result, they dropped off the linebacker, and that's why that area was so congested with blue jerseys. Usually when you come after him with a halfback blitz, you bring the linebackers. They fooled him.
Chris Woods, who has scored the game's lone touchdown, is back for this 3rd down kick by Bob Cameron. And again, the wind catches that one and blows it offline a little, but Woods manages to pick it up on the bounce, and then he is stopped at the 25-yard line. Ken Haley was downfield to make the tackle. So with 3:11 remaining in the opening quarter, the Argos, leading by a score of 7-1, have a first down at their own 25-yard line.
You know, the thing that's funny about the Toronto Argonauts this year, offensively, they're 7th in points scored, 8th in touchdowns, but the big key to them is they don't give the ball away. Their interceptions are down, they don't fumble the ball, and they're getting great kicking from their special teams, from Hank Ellis and Chomik. That's why they're in first place.
The pitch to Cedric Minter. Minter trying to get outside. Ken Haley got a piece of him. Enough to slow him up for James West to finish the job.
Boy, James West showed you the speed that he showed at that outside linebacker position. Haley made a good play in causing Minter to go wide, but then the speed of West is what's got out there to make the tackle.
He may have picked up about half a yard. It will be 2nd, 9.5. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 3 Canadians along that defensive line. They'll be counting even more on the play of people like James West throughout the course of this game and the other linebackers. They have to try and get some pressure on Conrad Holloway. Holloway throws out to the flats to Cedric Minter. He'll be stopped short of the first down by James Jefferson. And the Argos send out their punting unit. Well, we'll get an indication here of just how strong that wind is, because Hank Elisic will be kicking with it.
We watched him kicking against it. If there was much wind in pregame warm-up, he was kicking at 70 yards. So if he gets it up into the wind, it's going to carry.
Elisic this year is getting the ball away quicker than he has in the past. Excellent kick. Jefferson back at the 25-yard line, and he returns it to the 41. A 54-yard punt by Hank Elisic. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be scrimmaging 1st and 10 from the 41 with 2 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Word from the Winnipeg bench Hassan Abubakar has a twisted knee, and as you said, Ron, that was from that move of his trying to jump over the block of Chris Schultz.
Yeah, he was just jumping over him, and he took the limp leg away from Schultz so he couldn't hit it, but that puts all the pressure on that right leg. When they landed, it looked like he just twisted on him, which happens a lot on artificial turf.
1st and 10. The Blue Bombers at their own 40-yard line. James Sykes is caught immediately by Gerald Bayless, and he's having quite a ball game.
Somebody better figure out how to block that guy, because that's the second time they've run that play, and the second time he's made the tackle in the backfield. And he's not doing anything fancy. He's just coming straight through.
And he also has been credited with a quarterback sack so far in the ball game. Bob Abilovich talking with his offensive unit as Winnipeg scrimmages 2nd and 14. Throwing deep, and it's incomplete, intended for Perry Tuttle. And the Blue Bombers will send out the punting unit. Mark Seal was applying pressure to John Hupnagel.
You see Carl Brazeley trying to disguise this now. He will move up. He will come from the outside, and as you said, Seal from the other way. But watch him. He's looking around now. All of a sudden, he tries to time it to come on the run. Puts a little pressure on Walby. He has to try to block 2 of them. So Seal hits him from the front. Brazeley hits him from the back. He's lucky the ball just landed on the ground, because there's a lot of blue jerseys. Mark Seal. He likes to hit quarterbacks.
He's having a good year for the Argos. This time Cameron gets a pretty good kick away. Chris Woods is stopped almost immediately at the 35-yard line by Tyrone Jones. That kick traveled 37 yards.
Right now, that Toronto defense has got the Winnipeg offense a little bit confused. They're jumping around number 90 a lot of times, Marlon Jones, and Hardy, number 77, and they're going with motion, and then the line is moving. And that's what's allowed Bayless to get free up the middle. They got to come up with a blocking scheme, or they're going to have some problems running the ball.
30 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. Minner inside, 1st down, Toronto. He hit that hole quickly, didn't he?
Well, he's got that quick speed, that explosive speed coming off the ball.
Well, perhaps prematurely we said it was a 1st down. They're calling for a measurement.
We're going to see James West coming from that linebacker position, trying to get over there. He can't make it, and Darrell Patterson ran himself out of the play, and that created the hole that Minner ran through.
Just short of a 1st down. It will be 2nd and inches.
2nd down.
15 seconds showing on the clock. 7-1, the Toronto Argonauts leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the result of a 50-yard touchdown strike from Conrad Holloway to Chris Woods. This should also be the final play of the opening quarter. Holloway is going to go for the bundle, throwing for Keith Baker. He overthrew him.
Not a bad time to do that. They kept Scott Flagel back in the middle. What Holloway does is watch the side Flagel goes to, goes the other way, and he came over to take on Woods, so he went to Baker one-on-one on Jefferson.
So that's the end of the opening quarter here at CNE Stadium. Toronto leading 7-1. 7-1 is the score. Toronto leading Winnipeg at CNE Stadium, and in the first quarter of this ball game, the Argos had the edge statistically, mainly on the strength of one big throw by Conrad Holloway to Chris Woods. 84 yards total passing offense for the Argos, and of course they had another call back by a penalty, and another deep throw for Chris Woods was intercepted by Roy Bennett. But this is the one that went for the touchdown. Holloway threw deep, and Chris Woods simply ran under it.
Yeah, what we talked about in the opening has been the key for the Toronto Argonauts. That's that offensive line, giving Conrad Holloway time to throw the football. When you have a receiver like Woods, you give him time, and he's going to outrun anybody. And we said that they have to keep him on his feet. Holloway knew what he was talking about today when he said he's happy with that offensive line now.
In the second quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have certainly outscored the opposition this year, and Cal Murphy is hoping that the same format will hold true in this game. But so far, the Bombers have had some problems moving the football, except for that opening sequence where they were aided by a penalty Toronto called for having too many men in the field. The Argos gambling on third down. They attempted to go for the bundle on second and inches. On third and inches, they pick up the first down, and Holloway moves the team out over the ball. First and 10. The Argos are at their own 47. Cedric Mitter gets to the 50-yard line, a pickup of 3. It will be second and 7, Toronto. Cedric Mitter re-signed with the Argos on September 27th. He was released by the New York Jets following 2 seasons with the NFL team. Of course, he was an integral part of the Toronto success story in the 1983 season. Second and 7, penalty flag. The pass complete to Baker, and Baker is caught by Jefferson, but he should have a first down. However, there was a penalty flag.
You know what, though? It's funny. Winnipeg's liking to put 3 receivers to one side of the field and then put a lone receiver short side. Toronto's doing the same thing to them, and they're having success. This time it was Baker. The touchdown was Woods.
Winnipeg number 58, decline, first down.
James West lined up offside.
Seems funny for a linebacker to be up that close.
First down, Argonauts.
So the Argos have a first down at the Winnipeg 51-yard line. 7-1 is the score. Toronto leading Winnipeg. The Argos trying to regain their 3-point advantage over Hamilton in the Eastern Division. Stan Mikulash ran over and past the Toronto quarterback. He had a shot at him.
Mikulash moved to that defensive end spot. He goes outside, and Bob Molly plays on the nose in his position. He just got inside of the tackle and got the chase on Holloway, caused him to pull it down.
So a loss of a couple. It was interesting against the Montreal Alouettes, where Bob Molly on one play lined up against his brother Kevin.
Chance to get even for all those childhood beatings.
Holloway throwing deep for Woods. No catch.
Well, we heard him talking on the sidelines about a cover 2 defense. The hole is behind the corner, Roy Bennett, and then before they can get over there to help him, that's where Holloway was trying to go. A pretty good hit on Chris Woods as he went out of bounds trying to make that catch. A little bit slow getting up.
And the man who drove him out of bounds, Benny Thompson, certainly didn't endear himself to the Argonaut fans as he said something to him over on the sidelines.
I think he'd kind of like that. He's a pretty physical defensive back. Cal Murphy likes him because he's a punishing hitter in there. That's a pretty good hit. I imagine he would like the fans to ride him a little bit.
Hank Ellis stands at his own 45-yard line for this third down punt. He seems to be kicking the ball pretty well into the wind. Jefferson takes it back at the 5-yard line. He's trying to get to the outside of Terry Parker, but Parker manages to drag him out of bounds. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be scrimmaging at their own 13-yard line when we return to CNE Stadium in Toronto. A reminder that during the month of October, every CFL team will be playing a game for the Heart Fund. If your ticket to that game is purchased at the Tip Top store, 50% of the price you pay will go directly to the Heart Fund. And on Friday, October the 3rd, Ottawa at Calgary is a Heart Fund game. On October the 4th, Edmonton at Hamilton, another Heart Fund game. That will be seen on the CBC television network. Toronto at Winnipeg on Sunday. You'll also be able to see that one on the CBC television network. And we certainly encourage you to not only get out and watch the CFL action, but also at the same time support the Heart Fund. Winnipeg, first and 10, 12:07 remaining. Winnipeg trailing 7-1 in the first half of this first game of a home-and-home series. The two teams go at it again next Sunday afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium. Hufnagel dumping it off over the middle for Sean Kehoe. He fumbles the football. It's picked up by James Sykes. A good bounce for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as it popped away from Sean Kehoe, and the only player in the vicinity was James Sykes, and it took one bounce right into his arms.
Well, he got a little bit lucky. It looked like he wanted to go backside. There's nobody open. He just took time, and then Sean Kehoe checked out across the middle as he started to run. Good hit, David Marshall, and a ball popped loose, and sometimes it goes your way because there's more blue jerseys, but Sykes caught it on the bounce.
Second and 5, Winnipeg. This one is almost intercepted. It was intended for Sean Kehoe. So it will be 3rd and 5, Winnipeg.
This guy right here, Marlon Jones, has been moving around, and when the Bombers have one receiver on each side, he rushes up the middle. Now, here he comes straight ahead. We'll show you in a little bit what he does when there's 3 receivers to one side.
Good kick this time by Cameron. Chris Woods retreats to his own 33-yard line. Woods finds a hole. Penalty flags fly. Woods bounces off a couple of tackles. Only Bob Cameron back. Got away from him, but coming back to make the stop was James Sykes. But there's a penalty flag way back at the 35-yard line, and there's also another Winnipeg player slowly limping off. Mark Moores was shaken up.
Well, you're going to get, I think we have a holding and a clipping. I saw Cliff Hewitt really knock somebody from Winnipeg in the back, and then Paul Tripley on the other side looked like he might have been holding, so we're going to see what happens.
So a 63-yard return is wiped out by penalty.
Illegal block. Toronto number 28. First down.
That takes the ball back to the 25-yard line.
Right there, number 28 coming into the picture, hits Ken Haley in the back. Now, if we come a little bit further with that, we would have seen the hit that Hewitt put on him. So there were 2 flags, and they caught them both.
1st and 10, Toronto. The Argos at their own 25-yard line. 2 big plays by Chris Woods have been wiped out as the result of penalty. Holloway with all sorts of time. He was looking for Mike Shiroska. Incomplete.
Shiroska fell down. He was wide open. Boy, Holloway had an awful lot of time. He looked all over that field. Winnipeg's going to have to get some pressure on him.
Now we can understand why he was smiling prior to the ball game when we talked about that offensive line.
Boy, I'll say he has had no pressure at all in this first quarter and a half. He's been able to stand back there and look that field over, and any quarterback appreciates that.
Chris Woods has done a lot of running in the ball game, all in vain. A touchdown called back as the result of a penalty, and an excellent punt return wiped out by a penalty. The screen pass. Hudson trying to break out of a couple of tackles. He can't get away, and he is stopped about 2 yards short of a first down by Darrell Patterson. 9:39 is the time remaining in the half. It's 7-1. The Toronto Argonauts leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Argos struck for a touchdown on their first offensive series. And while they have moved the ball since then, they haven't been able to put it in the end zone.
Toronto's moved the ball a lot better than Winnipeg has. Winnipeg is still having a few problems trying to figure out what to do with that defense. They are causing them some problems.
James Jefferson and Darrell Sampson are back for this 3rd down punt by Hank Elisic. He gets away another beauty. Sampson takes it at the 25. Jefferson takes it at the 25-yard line. Jefferson with a fine return up to the 54. He was finally hauled down by Marcellus Green. Well, Pat Kantner, who was injured early in the football game, is going off to the Bomber dressing room for further examination. Well, we thought that Pat Kantner was going off to the Bomber dressing room. Apparently, they are going to take him to a hospital for further examination. As you see, he has gone to the ambulance.
Darrell Sampson
will be available soon.
I'm sorry, Roy Jefferson returns his punt. Has a little bit of traffic, but he finally gets through. Picks up a good block by Delbert Fowler downfield, and that's what sprung him.
So at the 52, it's 1st and 10 Winnipeg. Out into the flat to James Murphy, and Murphy is into the 49-yard line of the Argos. He'll have a gain of about 9, stopped by Kerry Parker.
You know, that's not a bad play now. They like to throw that hitch screen outside to Murphy and get blockers in front of it. But every time you send people out there, you attract defensive people with it. This time it's just Murphy and Parker one-on-one, and Murphy's going to get a lot of yards if he's one-on-one with anybody.
2nd and 1. And Randy Faby comes into the ball game in place of Perry Tuttle at that slot back position. James Sykes over top of the line of scrimmage for the first down.
Sykes carry. First down on the Bombers.
Marshall and Moulton combined on the stop, and James Sykes is down. Boy, oh boy, the Bombers have really been taking the hits out here this afternoon. Kantner going off. Moore's down, Abubakar, and now James Sykes is hurt.
I think it's just the way he lands right here. He came down and landed hard. He tried to hurdle, and when you hurdle, it doesn't take much to catch those feet on somebody's shoulders. And I think it's just the way he landed.
Busiest man today has been Ross Hodgkinson. Bombers already hurting with Pat Kantner out of the lineup. If James Sykes is out of the lineup in that offensive backfield, they've only got Sean Kehoe.
They're checking his left shoulder. Pretty good. He got the arm up underneath the shoulder pad, talking to him. Well, they have had a few people go down today. I didn't even think about it until you started talking about it. That's a lot. You don't have that many backups. You start to run out about now.
Well, they are certainly running short of backups along the defensive line as Bob Molly has moved into the nose guard spot. Stan Mikowis has gone to defensive end. And now along the offensive line, Hamelick had gone in at center, replacing Mark Moores, and Cal Murphy will have to do some juggling now to find a replacement for James Sykes and Pat Kantner. Sean Kehoe will be in there. He wears number 39.
I would guess that it's going to be Taylor. Looks like him in the huddle down there, and I know they did say they were going to work him at fullback a little bit, but I know they weren't expecting to use him there today.
So David Taylor will move in place of James Sykes as the Bombers line up 1st and 10 from the 46 of the Toronto Argonauts. Quickly inside to Joe Poplawski. He fumbles the football. Toronto has it.
Well, when you catch that quick look-in pattern like that, you're going to get some action. You're coming right back into traffic, makes the catch, the blue jerseys arrive, and the ball pops out. Just throw it quick. Poplawski gets inside, the good hits, the ball comes loose. Toronto's recovered it. Winnipeg's defense is going to have to get tough.
Was over there to pick up that ball at the 41-yard line. So the Argos take over with 7:40 remaining in this first half. Penalty flag on the play. Keith Baker looking as though he wants to throw, doesn't get a chance and is stopped at the 30-yard line, but there's also a flag deep downfield, an offside call almost certainly against Winnipeg, and it could be an interference call as well.
We're going to get a roughing. Benny Thompson, number 37, after the play was over, he just dropped Darrell Smith, who was standing here, and the referee was looking right at him. That was definitely a pass. Paul Pearson and Darrell Smith going downfield. Baker got trapped, but they're going to get called for a hit, late hit.
Wow, this is a big one. 20 yards.
Offside, Winnipeg number 35. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 37. First down.
Well, Tyrone Jones was the man who was offside, and again it appeared as though he may have lined up offside, and then Thompson was guilty of that hit downfield.
Well, it was a good one. I mean, if you're going to get caught, he hit him pretty good. The referee just was looking right at it.
1st and 10 for the Argos. They are at the Winnipeg 49-yard line. That screen pass to Keith Baker, and Baker is stopped after a gain of a couple. The ball is loose. I think the Argos got it back. At one point, the Blue Bombers had possession, but they couldn't control it. They had a shot at it, and it bounced away, and Toronto managed to recover. There's also a penalty flag.
Yeah,
it could be another offside.
Delbert Fowler this time coming from the other linebacker position. Jumped the gun coming from the outside. They're going to get called again.
Offside, Winnipeg number 72. First down repeated.
So it's 1st and 5 for the Argos. They are at the 44 of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Linebackers have been a little too anxious to get into that Toronto backfield. Hand off to Cedric Minner. He'll be close to the first down. He was stopped at the 40-yard line by Benny Thompson. 6:50 is the time left in the half. 7-1, the Argos leading. The only touchdown, a 50-yard strike from Conrad Holloway to Chris Woods. And injuries continue to plague the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as Darrell Patterson is down. Patterson, sophomore linebacker with Winnipeg, and a key to the work those 4 linebackers do.
What happens on this? Darrell Patterson blitzes here. James West goes around it, and they run themselves out of the play because Minner runs right in behind it. And Darrell Patterson's going to get injured. Watch, there goes 58 here, right on top of him. Patterson gets cut underneath. Minner ran right where they left. Middle opened up. Benny Thompson had to make a big tackle because he had a lot of running room. Boy, they're getting knocked out. I haven't seen this many injuries to a football team in this short a time in a long time.
Cal Murphy definitely has to be concerned with people going down as they have been in this ball game. Vernon Paul will go in to replace Darrell Patterson. Patterson is having problems with that leg as he is assisted off to the sidelines by Ross Hodgkinson and Len Amy. Next week in the Canadian Football League, on Friday night, the Ottawa Rough Riders visit Calgary. On Saturday, Edmonton is at Hamilton. And then the BC Lions play in Montreal, and the Toronto Argonauts will be in Winnipeg, the second half of this home-and-home series. Steve Armitage and Chuck Ely will be in the East, working the games in Hamilton involving the Ticats and the Edmonton Eskimos, and at Olympic Stadium in Montreal for the game between the Alouettes and the British Columbia Lions. Ron Lancaster and I will be at Winnipeg. The reverse with Keith Baker, and Baker is prevented from getting the first down by Vernon Paul. They faked inside to Cedric Minner, a good fake by the Toronto Argonauts, but Vernon Paul was not fooled, and he brought down Baker. He actually lost about a yard. It will be 3rd and 2.
Boy, you know, Vernon Paul's an interesting person. Here's a guy that's good enough to play for any other team in the league. He's been the backup with Winnipeg. He never complains, but when he gets the opportunity to play, he does a great job. That was a good play. They lost a yard. This is going to be a tough first down.
It looks as though Cedric Minner will pick it up. Minner following the block of Chris Schultz, the new offensive tackle, and he does get the first down.
It's not a bad person to follow if you want a couple holes opened up front.
Hit the guard, on the guard, and back behind the inside.
Darrell Patterson being treated at that Winnipeg bench. The handoff again to Cedric Minner, and Minner fights his way to the 33-yard line, stopped there by Delbert Fowler. A gain of 5.
One thing for sure, they've decided they're going to get Cedric Minner some work, and they're going to get Keith Baker into this ball game. They've had Baker catch and try to throw, and Minner running and catching. They're getting a lot of work for their first game back.
Second and 5. Intended for Darrell Smith. Incomplete. And that will likely mean we'll see Lance Chomick attempting a field goal with 4:47 remaining in this first half. I think that's the first time they've attempted to go to Darrell Smith, but he's been involved in the ball game. He took that flick from Benny Thompson that resulted in a rough play call against the Blue Bombers.
Well, he took a big one.
A 40-yard field goal attempt. Kick is good. And Lance Chomick increases the Argo lead. It's now 10-1 with 4:27 the time remaining in this first half.
Somebody tell OB to take this thing off his mouth so I can hear. Yeah, okay, here I am.
Conrad's obviously having some problems communicating with the assistant coaches who are upstairs in the spotting box. Winnipeg Blue Bombers, following that Lance Chomick field goal, have opted to scrimmage from their own 35-yard line rather than have the Argos kick off.
Well, watching Sykes is back in the ballgame. That's good for the Bombers.
To Perry Tuttle. Tuttle trying to reverse his field, still on his feet, and then dragged down by Harding back at the 27-yard line. Kerry Parker had also moved up, and Kerry Parker was able to bring down the Winnipeg receiver.
You know, I'm not sure if Tuttle can throw or not, but that sure looked like a pass to me. He had Boyd and Murphy 30 yards downfield. I don't think he ever had a chance. Parker got up there in a hurry.
Second down, Winnipeg. Hofnagel is forced to run with the football. Rodney Harding is there to make the stop.
Right now, that Toronto defense has Winnipeg's offense very, very confused. Carl Brazeley again came on that halfback blitz. Hofnagel had nowhere to throw the football.
Darrell Smith, 74, and Keith Baker, number 9, are back for this third down punt by Bob Cameron. Smith takes it at the 35-yard line, fumbles the football, it's loose. Tyrone Jones has got it. Richard Nemeth appeared to strip the punt returner of the football, and Tyrone Jones comes up with it. A big turnover for Winnipeg with 2:54 left in the half. At halftime this afternoon, we'll take a look at the three Argonaut quarterbacks. Conrad Holloway, who has started this game, J.C. Watts, and Tim Cowan. And in the studio, Brian Williams will also be talking with Frank Cosentino of York University, and we'll have CompuStats and the analysis of this half. And Daryl Sampson played for Dr. Frank Cosentino at York University, and he's doing an excellent job in this his rookie season for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. First and 10. The ball is at the 27-yard line following that fumble recovery. Intended for Jeff Boyd, incomplete. He was being watched by Carl Brazeley.
Good job of coverage by Brazeley. The ball was a little bit high, but Brazeley was there anyway. They're making it awful tough on Winnipeg to get this offense untracked. They haven't gotten into the flow of the game, and the longer you keep an offense confused, the better your chances are of beating them.
Second and 10 from the 27. Here's that Hufnagel is checking off at the line of scrimmage. to throw on is James Murphy. It will be 3rd and 10.
Once again, Gerald Bayless was the man coming through. Hufnagel did audible. He saw some pressure coming. He went to the post to Murphy, didn't have a chance to throw it. Bayless is having a field day up front.
So Trevor Kennard will attempt his 2nd field goal of the game. Prior to that injury, he had been struggling a little bit, but since he has returned to the practice roster and been able to kick, he has been hitting the ball very well in practice sessions. He missed his 1st field goal attempt this afternoon, and he misses his 2nd. He's wide again, and Paul Tripoli in the end zone will concede the single point. So it's now 10-2. Trevor Kennard returning to the roster after being off for 60 days. Suffering a leg injury and a back injury in a victory over the Calgary Stampeders earlier in the year. Getting some encouragement from his teammates as he moves off to the Winnipeg bench, but he has to be disappointed with the fact that in his return to the lineup, he has miscued on the first 2 field goal tries. 1st and 10, Toronto from the 35-yard line. Cedric Minner attempting to get outside, prevented from doing so by Vernon Paul.
Minner wanted to run inside. There was nothing there. Tried to bounce outside, and who's there? Vernon Paul. It's nice to see him get the opportunity to play. A lot of people would like to have him on their club.
Well, Cedric Minner got the opportunity to play with the Toronto Argonauts at the expense of Craig Ellis, and Ellis was having an excellent year for the Argos.
Oh, he sure was. That was a surprise to a lot of people. Ellis had delivered for the Toronto Argonauts, but they want to see what Minner can do, and so far he's doing a good job.
Pass complete to Smith, and he's got the 1st down. 1:51 is the time remaining in the half. Haley and Flagel were there to make the tackle.
Just clear it out deep, run the inside receiver, in this case Darrell Smith, out in the flat, throw him the football. Makes the 1st down. That's all you want out of that kind of a pattern.
1st down, Argos on the 48.
1st and 10, Toronto. 1:40 is the time remaining, and Conrad Holloway is dropped for a loss by James West. The initial pressure, however, came from Stan Mikowas.
Mikowas does a good job at that defensive end position. You know, we had never seen him play there except in an emergency situation, and I guess this is what you'd call one of those with this Arva Bacher out of there, but that's twice now he's been able to get through and get pressure on Conrad Holloway.
A loss in the play, taking the ball back to the 42-yard line. 2nd and 16, Toronto. Chris Woods goes wide to the right. Baker lines up to the left. Holloway puts it off to Darrell Smith, and Smith got back to the original line of scrimmage, fumbles the football, and Benny Thompson has it. Benny Thompson heads off to the end zone, but back at the 42-yard line, the play had been whistled down. There's also a penalty flag. I think it's going to stand as a Winnipeg fumble recovery, but there's also a penalty flag on the play. Objectionable conduct, and I think that may have come from the Argo bench.
Objectionable conduct, Toronto assistant coach, 1st down.
Argos penalized for objectionable.
Was that Ellis Rainsberger, perchance, who was out on the field yelling and shouting at the officials?
I didn't see who it was, but there's no doubt where it came from. The referee was pretty explicit about it.
1st and 10, Winnipeg at the 31 of the Argos. There's the reverse with James Murphy. He needs a block. He gets one and gets the 1st down inside the 20-yard line. Nick Bastaya was out front leading the way.
Toronto dodged one bullet now on the fumbled punt. The defense managed to hold. This time they recover another fumble. What was nice there is Jim Sykes swings one way, and that gets the linebackers in one position. Then he uses the speed of Murphy to try to get outside. But Toronto recovered, but not before he got a 1st down, and they're down in scoring range.
1 minute remaining in the 1st half. 10-2 is the score. The Argonauts leading Winnipeg quickly inside to Perry Tuttle for a pickup of 4, maybe 5 yards, depending on where they spot the ball. Don Moon, the linebacker, made the tackle. The ball positioned between the 13 and the 14.
50 seconds left. I hope Huffnagel's aware of the time. I was kind of figuring he may go to that hurry-up offense right there to try to save some time.
2nd and 6. Huffnagel into the end zone. Interference, no question. Carl Braisley was all over Jeff Boyd.
He had
Braisley
good
pleading
position.
his case.
Yeah, he had good position on Boyd. Huffnagel threw it where it had to be thrown, way out in front. Braisley couldn't see it, and he just was running right into Boyd all the way down the field.
Forward passing interference, Toronto number 2, first down.
So it will be 1st and goal, Winnipeg, and some penalties have really proven costly for that man and his Argonaut football team this afternoon.
Well, there you see it. See, Braisley just wouldn't let Boyd get near the football, and the referee standing right there in perfect position. There's no way you cannot call that one. That's a good call and a big break for the Bombers.
Jim Zorn in at, Tom Mickey in at quarterback. They're anticipating that we might see Jim Zorn, but it was Tom Mickey who came in at quarterback and tried the quarterback sneak. Didn't make it.
1 yard away from the goal line, and that Toronto defensive line did a heck of a job because I don't think he ever had any forward momentum at all. They just beat the Winnipeg line to the charge.
So Mickey comes off, and John Huffnagel returns to the Winnipeg lineup.
Where do you want to
clock
run?
running? They had better hurry. James Sykes. He didn't get in. Just 10 seconds remaining in this first half. It will be 3rd and goal from the 1. Well, I think the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have called a timeout here.
First down on the 1.
Boy, this is good defense. That's about all you can say. Look at Gary Moulton, number 72. He's got a good hit on him, good position, got his feet under him. You're not going to get any more momentum when the guy hits you like that. But this is unbelievable. 2 straight shots from a pretty good offensive football team, and Toronto turned it back.
Well, Chris Walby was trying to help the officials there, signaling the touchdown, but James Sykes had not reached the end zone, and with the timeout, John Huffnagel comes over to talk to his coach. And some discussion going on at the Toronto bench with their defensive troops, and Mark Seal is a fired-up defensive tackle as he prepares for this 3rd and goal from the 1.
You know, just looking down there at him, a lot of times when you stop a team once, good. You stop a team twice, you start to think you're tough. Boy, that Toronto defensive line just unloaded. No penetration at all by the Winnipeg offense, and that's 2 shots from the 1. They haven't gained an inch. This is a big, big play. If you have any, your offensive line has to get you this yard. They've got to do it for you right now.
Well, the clock will not start until the ball is snapped. So there will likely be time for 2 plays. Winnipeg wants just 1, though. They want to put it in the end zone. 3rd and goal from the 1. James Sykes again. This time he's got it.
Yeah, you're going to get an argument from Toronto, but he was over the goal line. He bounced back and then still fell on the line. There was not any doubt about that one.
6 seconds remaining in the half. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming up with a very important touchdown late in this first half, taking advantage of that fumble by the Toronto Argonauts. And now Jim Zorn will hold for Trevor Kennard for the point after.
1 yard back.
He puts it through, and it looks very much as though we are going to go to the dressing room at halftime with just 1 point separating the Blue Bombers and the Toronto Argonauts. 10-9 the score.
You know, it's funny. Winnipeg hasn't played a great first half of football, but they're still in the ball game. Now, this Toronto club is fired up. Watch this. They just think they got him stopped, but Sykes is in right there. He's in. Now, when he falls, he's still on the goal line. All you have to do is break the plane. He was in twice, and, when you hold a team twice, you think you're going to do it the 3rd time, but no chance. Here he comes right at you.
All he had to do was break the plane to the goal line, and that he did. The first time, he was stopped and still came down on the goal line. So it's a 10-9 ball game. James Sykes had an interesting comment before the game. He said, I haven't been with this Winnipeg football team when we've won a game on the road.
You're what I said to him. I said, don't tell anybody. They'll think you're a jinx. We had a nice conversation with him today. He said he's really feeling good now about playing.
After replacing Willard Reeves, he said it took him about 3 games before he began feeling comfortable. Cedric Minter taking that kickoff, attempting to return it, and stepped out of touch at the 13-yard line. 4 seconds is the time remaining. They had Minter back there on that kickoff return. They were hoping to get some good yardage. But in trying to stay in bounds, in handling that kickoff, Minter stepped into touch, and the Argos are scrimmaging from their own 14-yard line. What will Holloway do on this, what appears to be final play of the half?
Well, you're going against the wind. I don't think just what he's going to do. Sit down and relax and take it easy. Don't take any chances. Don't turn it over. They fumbled the last 2 series.
Well, he won't kill the clock with the first exchange from center, but this time he'll be able to run off those final seconds.
You hear the Winnipeg bench hollering, don't go to sleep.
And that will end the first half here at CNE Stadium in Toronto, with the Argonauts leading the Blue Bombers by a score of 10-9. Now let's go to Brian Williams at CFL Control.
All right, thank you, Don Whitman. Winnipeg starting to come back. Of course, the Bombers need a win this afternoon to move within 2 points of Edmonton and British Columbia. Coming up at halftime, we will profile the 3 veteran quarterbacks with the Toronto Argonauts. We're also going to talk with Dr. Frank Cosentino. Frank is a former star quarterback in the Canadian Football League. He's now the head football coach at York University here in Toronto. We'll talk about university football in general in this country and its relationship with the Canadian Football League. So stay with us. We'll update baseball as well. Our halftime show is up next as the CFL. It is halftime, and the Toronto Argonauts leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Argos are winning this afternoon. It is a different story, though, for the Toronto Blue Jays. They are being hammered now by 7 runs at Fenway Park in Boston. So in spite of a pretty good year in that Eastern Division, the Blue Jays will finish no better than second. The Boston Red Sox will wrap up the title this afternoon. Earlier this week, I attended the Argonaut practice here in Toronto as they prepared for this afternoon's game with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Unusual situation for the Argonauts. They have 3 veteran quarterbacks. There's Condrich Holloway. Here is J.C. Watts, a CFL veteran, and a former BC Lion, a CFL veteran, Tim Cowan. In 1986 in pro football, the quarterback is fast becoming an endangered species. So obviously the ideal situation is to have 3 veterans, as is the case here in Toronto. And as you've seen, 2 of the Toronto veterans are longtime starters. The question is, though, how, with 3 veterans, do you maintain team harmony? Remember, folks, good quarterbacks also have good-sized egos.
That's true, but I think in this game, if you look back over the winning clubs, they've always had 2 good quarterbacks. Tom Clements, myself in Ottawa, Warren Moon and Wilkie, Tom Clements and Huffy last year, Roy DeWalt and Tim Cowan. I think that's what every coach wants is quality quarterbacks with enough professionalism to understand that we're all going for a common goal. And I think with the rule change, having 3 of us is exactly what any coach would want. Most coaches were satisfied with 2, and we're lucky we've got 3.
I feel like my ego is not so big that I have to be a starter. My main concern is making a viable contribution, and I think I can do that. I'm in the best situation I've been in since I've been in the league, been surrounded by 2 veteran quarterbacks. And I'll tell you what, that really helps. It takes a lot of pressure off, and it helps your production a great deal.
It's an advantage for me because I'm still fairly young. I'm the youngest of the 3, and I'm getting an opportunity to learn from some guys who've been through the league and are very experienced and understand a lot about how to play the game. So it's helping me out very much.
We're trying to develop a team attitude, and we try to put the team before the individual, and I think that they learn to deal with that and they accept that, and they're keen about contributing to the team in any way that they can. So lots of times that has to do with the decisions I make as far as who's going to play.
Well, I tell you what, the Argos have played the cards pretty well, and fortunately for us, I think it's going to be a big asset for us down the stretch. And I think we've got a good foundation to build on, got a good group of veterans, 3 solid quarterbacks, and again, that's going to help down the stretch. It's tough, but that's what makes it so competitive. Whenever it gets to a point where it's not tough for you and you're relaxed at being the non-starter that day, then I think you should look for another job. I think the competitive spirit every day in practice keeps you at a peak, and it's something that is essential for winning.
Do you guys really get along?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we get along.
I'll tell you something, folks. When the punches started flying, being a little guy, I just moved off to the left. You know, at one time, the Hamilton Ticats had 3 veteran quarterbacks, Bernie Filoni, Joe Zuger, and Frank Cosentino. We will talk with Dr. Frank Cosentino as our halftime show continues on this Sunday afternoon. It is halftime. The Toronto Argonauts leading the Winnipeg Blue Bombers by a single point. Welcome back to CFL Control in Toronto. The big fella beside me is Dr. Frank Cosentino, a star at Cathedral High School in Hamilton, played for the Western Ontario Mustangs, as did Don Getty, went on to play in the CFL with the Ticats, the Argonauts, and the Edmonton Eskimos. Frank, welcome to CFL Control. Yesterday, a rather tough day for you. You were beaten by your alma mater. You're the head coach at York.
That's right. Number 2 ranked Western Mustangs, chasing, I guess, the number 1 ranked UBC Thunderbirds, beat us 18-4.
Let's talk about the state of university football in this country. Is it static? Is it advancing? Is it declining?
Oh, I think it's advancing. In terms of talent, I don't think there have ever been more and better players who are being produced by the Canadian colleges than there ever have been at this time. We can always use a little more funds. We could use a little more support in the media and through the public, but talent-wise, it's at a great height.
That's interesting because your talent pool is diminishing. Fewer and fewer high schools in this country are now involved in football.
It seems that that's the case, and yet I know here in Toronto, and I wonder if this is typical throughout the country, there are fewer schools playing football, I think because of declining enrollments and money and so on. But the people coming out of the high schools seem to have more talent. They seem to be more willing to weight train and make a commitment to the sport, and as a result, those going on to university and coming out of the universities are better.
It's long been one of my causes that university football, folks, does not get the publicity it deserves in this country. All university sports don't. What about on campus, though? Are the students behind the football programs, are the universities committed, or is it something they have to put up with?
No, I think there's a genuine interest among the student body. In the last few years especially, I know student radio stations have started up and they're broadcasting the games live. There's a lot of good media coverage on campus. Where we have a lot of problems, I think, particularly in central Canada with baseball, is trying to find some space on the sports pages. I think it's probably a little bit better in Western Canada where you don't have the professional baseball to the extent you have in central Canada. As a result, you get perhaps better media coverage.
All right, you've got good football, though, in Western Canada. Let's talk about the relationship between the Canadian Football League and the universities. Is it a good one? Could they be doing more to help you?
Well, I think they could be doing more. I think on the whole it's improved much more. It's better now than it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago.
What could they do to help you?
Well, one of the things I think they could do is they could provide some funds. That's always needed to hire coaches for equipment, for scouting, videotapes, and things like that.
Some of the Canadian Football League teams are hurting themselves.
Well, they are. An area I think where it can help, and I'm glad to see CBC doing something like this, because just the mere fact we're talking intercollegiate football on a CFL telecast, I think is a tremendous thing.
You mentioned the possibility of doubleheaders, say Manitoba playing a game before a game with the Bombers.
Yeah, sure. If Winnipeg was going to play Saskatchewan in the CFL, why not bring in University of Manitoba and University of Saskatchewan, play a doubleheader on either Taylor Field or at Winnipeg Stadium, and perhaps have a surcharge of 50 cents or $1, have that go to the CIAA clubs. I think it would not only add a little finances, but a little exposure, and at the same time let the people see what good quality there is at Canadian University.
All right, we'll have you on again in the future to talk more about university football. You're a Hamiltonian. I'm born in Winnipeg, but I understand you too have a Winnipeg connection today.
I do. I have my daughter Mary, who's out in Winnipeg with her husband Louis. They just got married this summer, and I just want to say hello to her.
All right, Frank, speaking of Winnipeg, there's a Winnipegger standing by at Exhibition Stadium. The Argonauts lead the Bombers once again. Here's Don Whitman.
Yes, a 1-point difference at halftime, Brian. The Argonauts in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Very early in the ball game, it looked as though the Toronto Argonauts were really going to jump in front. They scored the first time they had the football, and it looked as though they had scored the second time they had the ball. 9 first downs for Toronto as opposed to 8 for Winnipeg. Neither side has had much success moving the ball along the ground, and through the air, the Argos have 106 yards as opposed to the Bombers 99. So the two teams are fairly close statistically, but I was mentioning it looked as though the Argos had a 14-1 lead very early in the first quarter with 6:56 remaining on this long throw from Conrad Holloway to Chris Woods, but it was negated. A holding call by Cedric Minter wiped out the apparent Argonaut touchdown, and the Argonauts could certainly use that touchdown. They lead by just a single point after 30 minutes of play. 10-9 the score. The Toronto Argonauts in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and we'll return to CNE Stadium in Toronto and our halftime show right after this. Well, among other things, Winnipeg head coach Cal Murphy has to be hoping that he will have enough healthy bodies to finish this ball game. Injuries have certainly taken their toll on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers through the first 30 minutes.
Well, they sure have. And, you know, Winnipeg's a pretty physical football team, and they seem to be coming out onto the short end. I think it's just because of the way the Toronto Argonauts have played today. You showed one of the highlights of Woods' touchdown that was negated, but we're going to look at the one that counted. Now, we said in the opening that they had to give Holloway protection. Well, when you have time to throw the ball this deep downfield, that offensive line is doing the job. This one, Chris Woods gets behind, makes the catch, stumbles in the end zone, gives them the 7-0 lead. So their offensive line's doing the job. Now, the thing that's confusing is this defense. Watch number 99, Bayless. He just blows by Mark Moores again. He gets into the middle, and when you come up the middle on a quarterback, he has nowhere to go, and this is the result. A sack, almost a fumble. So Bayless and the Toronto Argonaut defense has done their job. The problem has come on punt returns, or fumbles. One on a punt return, and then this pass out in the flat to Darrell Smith. He's going to get hit. The ball's going to pop loose, and Benny Thompson, number 37, is going to recover it. Then they're going to get an unobjectionable conduct penalty. That moves it a little bit closer, and it sets up this touchdown run of 1 yard on a 3rd down and 1 situation. James Sykes just gets in. What a heck of a goal line stand by the Argonauts. They have played excellent football and yet only have a 1-point lead.
Well, it seemed as though that Winnipeg offense, as you said a couple of times during the first 30 minutes, was confused by the different alignments of the Argonauts defensively.
They changed their plan in the second quarter. The first quarter, they'd take number 90, Marlon Jones, and line him up inside it, and he would move according to formation. Later in the second quarter, they said, the heck with it. They just line him up, and they're starting to come after him, and they have Winnipeg, who's the best offensive club in the CFL, only at 109 yards offense. That's good defense.
What do you look for in the second half from the Toronto Argonauts offensively?
I don't think they should change their game plan a bit. Holloway's getting time to throw the football. Let him throw it, and he's got the receivers now that can go deep. If he can get him one-on-one, he can score some more.
Bob Obilovich has to be concerned with the penalties that hurt his team during the first half of this game. Chris Woods, as we showed you, had a touchdown wiped out by a holding call, and then Woods had a big punt return of 63 yards wiped out by a couple of penalties. And those two plays alone could have made quite a difference in this ball game. John Hufnagel, the veteran quarterback who celebrated his 35th birthday a couple of weeks ago, in his 14th year of pro football after graduating from Penn State. Cedric Minter on the kickoff return. He is upset at the 31-yard line by James West. West is making his presence felt this afternoon more than we have seen from the middle linebacker in the past couple of games.
Well, you know, they've been having trouble, as you say, injuries. Arba Bacher's been out of there. That puts even more pressure on that Winnipeg linebacking core. And James West is a pressure player. He's going to come up when he need him the most, and they need him right now.
First and 10, Toronto. The Argos at the 31-yard line. Holloway's pass is complete up to the 40-yard line to Paul Pearson. Darrell Patterson came across to make the tackle, but it appears that Patterson is hurt again.
That could still be from that other injury. You know, you get hit like that, those players are tough. They'll come back and play, but, you know, they play with that pain the rest of the game, and then they just hang in there and go. So he knows they don't have too many players left. He's going to play.
It's a gain of 9, second and 1, and Cedric Minter gets the first down. Stopped again by Darrell Patterson with help from James West.
Well, we saw Patterson get up limping awful slow getting back to the huddle, but it was time to make the play. Him and West showed up again, so they know what's required of them.
First and 10 for the Argos. They are at their own 41.5. All sorts of time for Holloway. Finally has to dump it off to Bob Bronk, and Bronk gets out to the 50-yard line. But Holloway had plenty of time, but couldn't find an open man downfield.
That was designed to be a quick throw. The best way of knowing it, watch Tyrone Jones and watch right here. They cut the legs out from under him. That means the quarterback wants to throw the ball quick. Here they come in. Now cut him down. Get those arms down. Nowhere to throw the ball. He's very fortunate to find somebody to give it to. Turned out to be a heck of a game.
Bronk picks up 9. Cedric Minter gets the first down. A penalty flag. I think it'll be a face mask call against Winnipeg.
Not much doubt about it. That was a heck of a move by Minter. Delbert Fowler looked like he was going to nail him in the backfield, and Minter jumped sideways on him, and he was gone.
But with the penalty tacked on against the Blue Bombers, that takes the ball to the Winnipeg 39.
Major foul, face mask, Winnipeg number 76, first down.
Darrell Patterson was guilty of the face mask violation, and it's first and 10 at the 39.
Well, that was a great move. He just jumped outside of Fowler, and there you see the face mask. Darrell Patterson had a hold of it.
Again, that screen, this time to Cedric Minter, and he'll get about 7.
That's always been one of Conridge's favorite plays. He just kind of comes out of there, jumps up in the air, and dumps that screen pass inside. Gets him about 7 yards. That screen pass does a couple things. Gain yards, and then it slows that rush down. They've got to slow those linebackers down from getting in his face.
Second and 3. Penalty flag, and Holloway is dropped for a loss by Bob Molly. And almost certainly a holding call as well against the Toronto Argonauts.
You know, we always show you a linebacker coming free. Watch the game. He'll come here. Now watch James West, and he's going to get hit really good by Willie Thomas. This is the way you pick up a blitz. Watch. Bang. That'll straighten him right up, and that gives Holloway a chance. The pressure came from the outside, but that's a good job of picking up a stunt.
That takes the ball back to the 40-yard line. Third down, Toronto, as they line up in field goal formation. Lance Chomick will attempt his three-pointer from the 47-yard line. It's good. So with 11:40 remaining in this third quarter, the Toronto Argonauts on that Lance Chomick 47-yard field goal increase their advantage to 4 points.
Our next telecast is next Saturday night. Matt Dunnigan and the red-hot Edmonton Eskimos, tied for first place for the BC Lions, come east to Ivor-Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. Mike Kerrigan has ignited a Ticats passing attack. It's the Edmonton Eskimos and the Hamilton Ticats next Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern, the CFL on CBC.
Well, we've talked about the home-and-home battle, Winnipeg and Toronto this weekend and next, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Edmonton Eskimos have an interesting home-and-home series coming up. I'm not sure really where that pass was intended. It appeared to fall somewhere between Sean Kehoe and Jeff Boyd.
I think he was throwing to Kehoe and just threw it too high. Kehoe had no chance of catching that football.
Hufnagel 10 for 17 for 99 yards, 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 35, 11:22, the time remaining in quarter 3. Toronto leading Winnipeg 13-9. Hufnagel for Jeff Boyd. He makes the catch and is stopped at the 50-yard line.
Boy, Hufnagel had some pressure. That pocket started to collapse around him, and just at the last minute he saw Boyd. Boyd tried to run with it, be happy getting the first down.
Rodney Harding was the man coming from behind on quarterback John Hufnagel just as he released the football. 1st and 10 from the 51 to the sidelines. Jeff Boyd gets away from the first man, cuts back into the middle, and it is Don Moen who brings him down. Marcellus Green is the man that Jeff Boyd got away from. He has the ability to run with the football after catching it. Of course, his first reception as a Blue Bomber in this 1986 season went for that 80-yard touchdown against the Montreal Alouettes last week.
They got 2 excellent receivers. James Murphy's excellent when he gets the ball in his hands. They have him back on kickoff returns. You get Boyd and him, and they get in open field. They're awful tough to stop.
Randy Faby into the ball game, replacing Joe Poplawski at the slot back position. 1st and 10 Winnipeg. They are at the Argo 48-yard line. Hufnagel loses the football, and the Argos have it. David Marshall comes up with the ball. It was Don Moen who stripped John Hufnagel as he was trying to go deep to James Murphy.
Well, they put the pressure on in a hurry. Gary Moulton, 72, came on a blitz from the outside, and he ate up the block, and then Moen come around, just took it out of his hands. That pocket, what's coming from the back? Just as he's getting ready to throw, Moen is there. Boy, Gary Moulton came on a heck of a rush, almost got Hufnagel before he got set up.
So the Argos take over at the Winnipeg 51-yard line, 1st and 10 with that recovery by Marshall. The Argos in that short punt formation. The screen to Bob Bronk. And Bronk gets the first down to the Winnipeg 40-yard line, stopped by Roy Bennett. Bob Bronk, a Winnipeg product who attended Queen's University, has been effective on that screen pass.
Watch James West right here. He cuts down the blockers. James West figures if I go there, one man knocks me down, the other one makes the block, I clean him out, somebody makes the tackle. That's good defense.
Complete to Mike Soroshka. He'll pick up about 4 yards before being stopped by Scott Flagel. Soroshka has replaced Chris Woods at that wideout position. Woods was shaken up earlier, you might recall, when he was hit out of bounds as he was reaching for a pass by Benny Thompson.
Those Edmonton, BC games have been very, very physical football games. We're getting another one today. You know, when you get down to the playoff time coming close, those games get just a little tougher. The hitting gets a little harder.
2nd down, pass to Cedric Minner. He'll be stopped short of the first down by Darrell Patterson. So with 8:08 left in the 3rd quarter, another field goal attempt with Lance Chomick. 13-9, the Argos lead the Bombers. And this attempt will come from 39 yards out. So far, Chomick has been good on both field goal tries, while Trevor Kennard of Winnipeg has missed his 2 field goal attempts. Chomick trying to make it 3 for 3. It hits the upright. It goes through. It hit the upright and went through. And the Argos will lead it by 7. 7:40 is the time remaining in the 3rd quarter.
something new on the road. It's built by Jeep. It's the kind of truck only Jeep could build. But it's also the kind of truck just about anybody can afford. The new short bed Jeep Comanche Sport Truck. It's worth a look.
Next Sunday afternoon, a CFL doubleheader. Mervyn Fernandez, Roy DeWalt, and the high-flying British Columbia Lions coming east to Montreal's Olympic Stadium to take on the Alouettes. Norm Kimball trying to rebuild football respectability in that city. That's a 1:30 Eastern start. The second game, the Toronto Argonauts. Will Craig Ellis come back and get his job from Cedric Minter? The first-place Argonauts travel west to Winnipeg to take on John Hufnagel and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The second game, Toronto and Winnipeg, will start at 3 Eastern.
18 feet 6 inches separating those uprights, but it's surprising the number of times the ball will hit those posts, and this kick by Lance Chomik deflects off the upright over the crossbar into the end zone. 3 points for Lance Chomik. 3 for 3 in the field goal department. Had the ball come back into the field of play, it would have been whistled dead immediately, of course, but it crossed the crossbar, and it's a 16-9 game as James Sykes lugs it out to the 42-yard line. A gain of 7, stopped by Gary Moten.
It's been a long time since I've seen the Winnipeg offense stop as often as it has been today. I think it's a tribute to the Toronto defense. They have played an outstanding first half anyway. They can continue it. They're in the lead by 7.
Second and 3, Winnipeg. Hufnagel completing the pass for a first down to Perry Tuttle. He was knocked out of bounds by Marcellus Green. Hufnagel is getting a lot of pressure. He hasn't had much time to throw.
Get his arms down because they're getting a halfback blitz outside. Here comes Cliff Hewitt in. Hufnagel went right to him. He knew how much time he had. He got rid of it. And finally, they blocked Bayless. That's the first time we've seen him on the ground today.
Chris Walby dumped Bayless on his back. First and 10, Winnipeg. The Blue Bombers at their own 46. They trail 16-9. Hufnagel throwing deep for Perry Tuttle. Incomplete. He was battling with Cliff Hewitt, and the Argonaut defender knocked it away.
It's just like our old
that was really my fault. During the game, I've been going outside the guy. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Just do that on fire now, though.
Right.
Holloway and Coach Bob Obilovich discussing strategy the next time the Argos get the football. Right now, the Blue Bombers have it. Second and 10 from the 46-yard line. First down to Perry Tuttle. He's forced out of bounds. They rule he stepped out at the 45 of Toronto.
Perry Tuttle might be a slot back, but when you're lined up that wide, it's almost like being a wide receiver. Just down, break to the sideline, makes a catch. Boyd tries to make a block to get him outside, but he steps out of bounds. But the big thing, they converted the second down situation, and that's what they've got to do, and move it down for points.
Faby comes into the ball game. Perry Tuttle comes out. He came into the game needing 50 yards to become Winnipeg's second 1,000-yard receiver this year. They tried to throw inside to Randy Faby. It's incomplete. It will be second and 10.
They've tried to throw that pattern a couple times today. One time they hit Poplawski. He fumbled it. This time they had a little trouble getting it in there. You catch that ball inside, you attract the crowd. They were blitzing, so those halfbacks are going to be up a little bit closer on the receivers anyway. It makes it a difficult throw.
Faby is out. Perry Tuttle is back in. Second and 10, Winnipeg from the 45. 5:32 is the time left in the third quarter. Hufnagel with all sorts of time. Finally dumps it off to James Sykes, but Sykes will lose on the play. Hufnagel was attempting to go deep, but the Argos did a good job of defending against Murphy, Boyd, and Tuttle.
That would have been a quarterback sack. The defenders had him covered. He's looking for Jeff Boyd downfield. Now he'll turn. Kehoe's going down the middle, but he is covered also, and now it's survival time. He gets away from Seal, and who's there but Jones, and he gets the ball to Sykes, but they lose a yard on it, but it's better than a 10-yard loss.
So on 3rd and 11, the Winnipeg punting unit is out there. Bob Cameron to Darrell Smith at the 4-yard line, and Smith dove out to the 6. Difficult field position. The Argos backed up to their own 6-yard line for their next offensive series. We'll return right after this. Prior to the game, we went into the Argo dressing room and visited with newcomer Chris Schultz, playing his first game with the Argos after spending 3 seasons with Dallas. He's a Burlington boy, and he said, "Nice to see you, Mr. Lancaster. I really enjoyed watching you as I was growing up." And Ron, I thought you had one of the best retorts I've heard in a long time. You said, "Boy, I must have played a long time because you sure are big."
I'll tell you, he is big. Boy, when he stood up all that thing, I mean, that's 6'8". Hey, I can't believe he was talking about how the difference in the 2 games. Says it's very difficult up here with all the movement from the linebackers, getting your reads right and blocking properly.
Cedric Minter bounces off 1 tackle, but can't get away from Bob Molly.
Well, this is a spot Winnipeg wants to shut him down on this 2nd down. Force Ellis to punt out of the end zone against the wind. They should get good field position.
4:14 is the time left in the 3rd quarter. 2nd and 8 for the Argos. The pitch to Minter, and Minter is upset, forcing the Argos to punt. He was hit by Benny Thompson. James West was over there as well.
Boy, you talk about speed. That man, James West, show you some speed. Again, Daryl Patterson's blitz is here, but watch West see the toss. Watch how fast he will get to that area. All right, here goes 76 is gone. Now look at West. He finds that hole. He cuts inside. Bang. That's speed and recognizability, or however you want to say it, but he got there in a hurry.
Hank Elisic is kicking from the end zone. Penalty flag. No yards will be charged almost certainly against Don Moen as he wrapped up James Jefferson. It appeared he was clearly inside that 5-yard area, and that will improve Winnipeg's field position with 3:39 left in the 3rd quarter.
Well, you can't ask to start in any better position, and they knew when they went on the field, when you have them on the 4-yard line, get the ball back in 2 plays. That's all.
No yards. Toronto number 35. 1st down.
1st and 10. Winnipeg at the Toronto 32-yard line. 16-9. The Argos lead the Blue Bombers. The Argonaut touchdown scored by Chris Woods. The Winnipeg touchdown by the man who has the ball, James Sykes. He's wrapped up by David Marshall right at the 30-yard line.
Marshall came on a blitz from his linebacker position. Looked like he was going to overrun it, and all of a sudden fell right back into the tackle.
The Bombers continue to shuttle the slot backs. Randy Faby is in. Joe Poplawski is out. 2nd and 8. Those penalties against the Argonauts don't show is that one wiped out a touchdown and the other eliminated a big punt return. Inside to Perry Tuttle. He'll get the 1st down to the 20-yard line. Albavilovich trying to figure out what adjustment he might be able to make to defend against the Blue Bombers on their 1st down play at the 20.
Just take it, raise up, and throw it. If he can get inside the man covering, it's a very quick throw, and you get the ball to the receiver's hands fast and allow him to run with it.
Poplawski comes back in. Randy Faby is out. Winnipeg 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. Sideline pattern to Poplawski. Poplawski struggling for 1st down yardage. He gets it. Kerry Parker protesting that he was hit from behind by Chris Walby, who came down trying to block for Poplawski.
That's what the argument was. Parker has a good hold on him. Watch the quick throw. Now, Poplawski, instead of going out of bounds, turns inside. Now, Chris Walby comes down. Here's what they're hollering about. Watch him. Give him a shove in the back. That's what all the argument was about.
First and goal, Winnipeg. They are at the 8-yard line. Montego checking off at the line of scrimmage. He took too long.
They did it again. Carl Brazeley fooled him. He sat back about 8 yards and then started creeping up and got up on the line of scrimmage. And that's when you started seeing people holler and things started happening, and Huffnagel took too long on his audible. It's about 3 times today Brazeley's done that.
Time count violation, Winnipeg number 12, first down over.
1:25 time remaining in this third quarter. 16-9, Toronto leading Winnipeg. Inside to Poplawski, touchdown!
Well, sometimes when you blitz, you know, it's a gamble. You're going to get him or he's going to get you. This time, Brazeley came on the halfback blitz, and watch how fast Poplawski gets to the open area.
So with Poplawski scoring the touchdown, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have an opportunity to create a tie with the point after by Trevor Kennard.
Number 2 disappeared. He was blitzing. That brought Tripoli over there, but Poplawski got inside of him, and he was just strong enough to get to the end zone.
And Kennard puts it through with the score now deadlocked at 16. Joe Poplawski, who has been discussing possible retirement. He has won a couple of Shenley Awards during his career, one as the Outstanding Rookie, another as the Outstanding Canadian. Twice he has been runner-up for that Outstanding Canadian Award. And he has certainly made a major contribution to the Winnipeg Blue Bomber cause since being acquired after the Edmonton Eskimos gave him up as compensation for the signing of free agent Tommy Scott.
Well, the way he plays football, I don't know why he's talking retirement. Sure plays the game well. We always talk about him making tough catches inside where the going is heavy, and there was another example of it. He catches it, goes into 2 guys, and still gets in the end zone. He should play for a while.
Trevor Kennard to Cedric Minter. And Minter is caught by Richard Nemeth and Benny Thompson at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, Benny Thompson likes to be where the action is. I mean, he always arrives in one of those nasty moods. He hits them pretty good.
Holloway with some final instructions from the bench before heading out for the final 1:16 of this third quarter. 15 of 22, the Argo quarterback has completed his passes. And there's an injured Toronto player. Cedric Minter is down on one knee. Chris Woods already out of the lineup for the Toronto Argonauts. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with Pat Cantner out and Hassan Abubakar also out of the lineup. This has been, as you said, a physical football game.
The weather gets a little bit cooler and players hit a little bit harder come late September and into October and right on into the playoffs. So the intensity level just picks up as each game goes by.
Fred Dunbar is smiling, so it would appear that Cedric Minter is all right. While we have a chance, a reminder, this program is copyrighted and strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. Bob Bronk and Warren Hudson in the backfield with Cedric Minter on the bench. From that short punt formation, the screen pass intended for Bronk incomplete.
Last 3 series, Holloway has opened with a screen pass to Bronk. Been successful every time, and it would have been successful there if Bronk would have been able to hang on to the football.
I haven't had any further report on Pat Cantner. We saw him go to the ambulance to head to the hospital for further tests, but he took a hit early in the ball game, and I think they were just a little concerned and wanted to complete their examination. Abubakar apparently has a twisted knee. He'll be out for the rest of the game. Holloway pulls it down, trying to run for a first down. He's caught by Darrell Patterson. With all the braces that Conrad Holloway wears, he doesn't have the mobility that he possessed when he first came into the league.
Well, when he came in, he was as quick as anybody I'd ever seen, but boy, it's awful tough when you got those two big braces on there like that today. I was teasing him about that. I asked him if all that stuff slowed down his mobility. It sure does.
We talked about injuries. Darrell Patterson was hurt earlier. He's down again. Patterson this time appears to have injured his arm.
Well, he was the one that was chasing Conrad Holloway to make the tackle and just reached out with that right arm, and sometimes that just pulls it out.
James West came over as well, and he may have taken more of a blow from James West as he was reaching out to bring down Conrad Holloway, but you have to admire these football players who go back out there despite all the bumps and the bruises and take more punishment.
Yeah, there's no doubt about who he took the hardest hit from. Took it right from his own man, James West.
Hassan Abubakar on the Winnipeg bench.
Bigger and better. Be back. He's a cheap shot. Cheap shot. I'll be back, though, definitely.
Well, he says he's going to be back. It won't be this afternoon at CNE Stadium. And it might not be next Sunday afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium either. These two teams meet again next Sunday, and we hope you'll be joining us on the CBC television network for the action from Winnipeg Stadium. Third down kick by Hank Ellis. Then Mikowicz almost got a piece of it. The ball takes the bounce back towards the line of scrimmage, and Winnipeg gains on that kick by Elisic as it goes out of bounds at the 47-yard line with 2 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
I've been watching Mikowicz on punts and field goals. Now, he came close to that punt. He's come close to 2 field goals. In fact, I thought he was going to get the last field goal. That ball took off a little low, and he was into the backfield.
Only a 28-yard kick that time by Hank Elisic. This should be the final play of the third quarter. Hufnagel for Perry Tuttle. First down at the Toronto 40-yard line. And that is the end of the third quarter. The Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers deadlocked at 16. Well, the Argonauts and the Blue Bombers are tied at 16, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers seem to have their offense moving a little better in this second half. It appears as though they made some adjustments after 30 minutes of play.
Yeah, they've been able to get the ball downfield. The safety blitz has surprised them a couple times, but on that particular play, Hufnagel had enough time to sit back and look the field over, and he found Tuttle coming into the hole in the middle, but most of the day, those Toronto Argonauts have harassed him pretty good.
Well, the Toronto Argonauts were leading by a score of 16-9, and then this drive by Winnipeg capped off by a throw to Joe Poplawski for the touchdown. He took it low and then fought his way into the end zone.
Well, that's what we've said every game. He makes those catches inside where the traffic is heavy. You see how many blue jerseys were around him, but yet he managed to get into the end zone. That's why when you talk about him retiring, I don't think it's time. Let him play. The guy's enjoying it.
Statistically, Winnipeg with 222 yards now, Toronto with 187, and the Blue Bombers with a first down at the Toronto 40-yard line. The opening play of the fourth quarter. Joe Poplawski makes the catch, and he fights his way to the 30-yard line. He's stopped there by Paul Tripoli.
You know, when you talk about, you said it early in the game, Winnipeg wanted to go to the 3 receivers on one side of the field. When you put Poplawski over there with Murphy and Tuttle, with their great speed, when they come off the ball, that defense has to back up, and that allows that pattern to happen. Poplawski underneath the backers, and well, I'll tell you, they got great speed at those receivers, and that helps Poplawski. It really does.
Winnipeg almost totally forsaking the ground game here in the second half. Deep for Perry Tuttle. the Toronto safety, Paul Tripoli, but there was no penalty flag.
The referee made a right call. I mean, they were both going. They knew where they were going. Watch Tuttle. He sees the ball deep. He's looking up. Tripoli's trying to get back there. They just ran over one another. There's no interference there.
So it's 2nd and 10 as J.C. Watts stays loose at that Toronto Argonaut bench.
Yeah, you off the line.
As J.C. warms up, perhaps there may be a quarterbacking change by the Argos. James Sykes. He'll be very close to the first down. I said that in this second half, the Blue Bombers had almost totally gone away from the ground game, and on 2nd down and 10, James Sykes almost gets another first down. I think they may be close enough that they will gamble.
Well, I think even though they missed it, I'm just looking down there, that's about a half a yard. And in this part of the season, you got to try. What happens on this? What's Bayless, the middle guard? He will try to come on a game all the way outside, and that will open the area for the draw. 99 is going to go all the way out, and it just so happens that's where they're running. Good job, almost 10 yards for James Sykes. Sometimes you catch that defense right, that'll hurt it.
Well, the Argos, you may recall, stopped the Bombers twice in a goal line stand at the 1. Sean Kehoe trying to dive over the 20-yard stripe, and I think he made it.
I don't really think there's much doubt about it. It looked to me like he cleared that 20, and that's all the further he had to get to.
But when you go high like that, you certainly expose your body to a lot of punishment.
Yeah, you will take a hit.
If he makes it, he isn't going to make it by much.
Nothing to it, he said. About what, an inch?
So it's 1st and 10, Winnipeg. They are at the 20 of the Toronto Argonauts. The score is tied at 16. Statistically, after 30 minutes of play, the Argos, leading by a single point, also had the edge. The Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense in the second half of the 3rd quarter and now in the 4th quarter has been moving the football. Is it intercepted? Yes, it is. Carl Graisley has it, taking it in front of Joe Poplawski. So the Argos will take over back at their own 7-yard line with 12:24 left to play in the 4th quarter. Well, there are passes that quarterbacks would like to have back. I think John Huffnagel would like to have that last throw back.
There's what happens. Marshall goes here. He'll chase him out of here. He chases him out. Now watch Huffnagel throw the ball. He can't plant and throw. He's going to throw it off the wrong foot. He doesn't have much on it. Carl Braisley's in the position. The ball's hanging up there. Braisley steps in front. Good pressure by Bayless again. Huffnagel would like to have it back or else throw it up in the stands. Look at the position. That ball is underthrown, and Braisley has time. And hung up there, Braisley makes the catch. I was just getting ready to say, you were talking about in the late 3rd quarter, the Argonauts haven't had the ball much this half. The Winnipeg defense has done their job, and Winnipeg offense has kept the football.
And J.C. Watts is going to quarterback the Argos for this first offensive series for the Double Blue in the 4th quarter, back at their own 7-yard line. Not a great position on the field for a new quarterback to come into the ball game. He gives to Cedric Minter, and he spins out to the 12-yard line, stopped by Rob Prodanovic.
Well, once again, you have them pinned up deep in their own end. Keep them there. Looking at it from Toronto's side, you've got to move it out of there. You can only give up field position so many times before somebody's going to score on you.
A very key 2nd down play again for the Argos. J.C. Watts, released this year by the Ottawa Rough Riders, finding employment in Toronto, looking for Keith Baker. He was covered by James Jefferson.
That's pretty well thrown football for J.C., who's mostly noted for his sprinting out ability. He went straight back in the pocket, and he threw it on the line. At Baker, he just didn't hold on. This is when they need the big kick.
And Hank Ellis usually delivers in key situations.
Watch him step and throw. Pretty good throw. Takes a pretty good hit from Tyrone Jones, too.
An end-over-end kick. Jefferson mishandled it, gets the ball back, but has nowhere to go at his own 53-yard line, pinned by Warren Hudson. 11:09 is the time left in the game. John Hufnagel, 20 completions and 31 attempts.
Receiver has to come back to the ball.
Pitch pass to Jeff Boyd produces a gain of about 5 yards, maybe 6. Stopped by Paul Tripoli.
About as well as Kerry Parker could play that. You get that ball out to a receiver like Boyd, you have him one-on-one. The receiver's going to win it most of the time. Parker just didn't allow him outside, held him at bay long enough for this blue jersey to come out and help him.
Conrad Holloway with the warm-up jacket on. He started the ball game, has given way to J.C. Watts here in the fourth quarter. 2nd and 5, Winnipeg. Complete to Jeff Boyd. Boyd found that open area at the 37-yard line, and Hufnagel fired the strike.
Well, you know, we said this last week when they moved Perry Tuttle into that slot. When he clears up the middle, that safety man has to honor him, and he can't get over there to help. Perry Tuttle clears it out, then Boyd just turns it into the open area, makes the catch. You force them to play you one-on-one when you have speed that can clear inside.
Boyd with 4 receptions this afternoon for 80 yards. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. They are at the 36 of the Argos. Over the middle to Sean Kehoe. Kehoe is hit at the 31-yard line. A gain of 5. It will be 2nd and 5. Hewitt and Marshall making the tackle.
You know, this is the kind of drive that Coach Murphy would really like to see. Just take the 5, the 6, the 10 on 2nd and long and put it in the end zone and use up as much time as possible. Can't score without the ball.
Incomplete, penalty flags, and there's going to be an interference call. And Hufnagel is down. I think the call may be going against Winnipeg. It could be offensive pass interference, but Hufnagel really took a couple of hits as he threw that football.
He was trying to throw that ball inside to Jeff Boyd, but he was hit just as he delivered it, and that ball went up in the air. And I think if it's interference, it's probably going to be on Sean Kehoe if they call it offensive. We'll see what the referee says.
Forward pass interference, Winnipeg number 39, decline, 3rd down.
He was trying to climb right up over the top after it. Well, we're going to see the hit that he takes. Takes a heck of a hit. Gary Moulton, number 72, the linebacker, just as he threw the football, he stuck that helmet right up under the shoulder.
And that's why that football went high in the air as it was released by Hufnagel. So Trevor Kennard will attempt a field goal. This one from 39 yards out. Jim Zorn will hold. Kennard said Zorn has the fastest hands of any holder he has ever worked with. Again, it's wide. In the end zone, Tripoli concedes a single point. So Trevor Kennard, in his return to the Blue Bomber lineup, has had some problems, but that single point puts them in the lead for the first time. Tim Cowan, the number 3 quarterback on the Argo roster, talking with headman Bob Obilovich, wearing the headset, and offensive line coach Ellis Rainsberger. The Argos have had some problems in the second half moving the football. Cal Murphy's offensive unit has moved the ball, but he has also received some big plays from his defensive squad.
They've kind of taken over a little bit the second half. Toronto moved the ball on them a lot the first half. in the second half, the defense likes to saying 2 and out, and that's what it's been, 2 plays and then rest, and that's what they want.
Well, Frank Robinson all smiles after his Hamilton Tiger Cat victory last night over the Ottawa Rough Riders. They are now within a single point of the Toronto Argonauts in the battle for first place in the East. I imagine he's hoping that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can come up with a win this afternoon. J.C. Watts fumbles the football. Winnipeg says they've got it, and the officials appear to agree. The initial call from field level from the officials indicated that it was Winnipeg ball, and that is the case.
Quarterback draw. This is just a straight run all the way. Watch, couple steps back. Let it set up. 1, 2, and now go. Find a hole. What happens? He loses balance right here. He's going to take the hit. Now he puts that hand down. That ball's out there pretty good, and it comes loose. Now there's a battle for it.
Well, the Blue Bombers with the football, and James Sykes carrying inside the 40-yard line. A gain of 3, maybe 4 yards. Winnipeg in front, 17-16, 7:55 is the time left to play. This Bomber defensive unit has created some turnovers today.
Well, that's the name of the game, and most of the time turnovers will kill you, and that's what's happened to Toronto today. They put it on the ground about 4 times.
Jeff Boyd makes the catch. Comes down with his feet inbounds for a Winnipeg first down.
Well, once again, they're doing what you want to do against the wind. Nickel and dime them, make the first downs, but put it in the end zone. That's the key. They got down there with the interception and then missed the field goal, but they're not allowing that Toronto offense much time to work.
First and 10 for the Bombers. They are at the Toronto 32-yard line. 3 receivers line up to the wide side of the field. Hopnagel, the screen to Sean Keogh. And Gary Moten came across along with Don Moan to make the tackle. Darrell Smith trying to get a better view of proceedings, standing on that Argo bench.
Darrell Smith would rather be on the field. He wants that defense to get that ball back.
A gain of 8 yards. It will be 2nd and 2. James Sykes driven back. They'll mark his forward progress very close to a first down.
Well, David Marshall was there in a hurry. James Sykes went into that line, and he came out just as quickly when number 73, David Marshall, hit him.
They're going to measure. I think he may be just short. No, just the tip of the football. So Winnipeg has a first down from the Argonaut 21.5. 6:26 is the time remaining. 17-16. The Blue Bombers out front. Jeff Boyd lines up wide left. Murphy to the right. Sean Kehoe in motion across the formation. Boyd on the sidelines takes the hit by Marcellus Green, but will be close to another first down. This is only the second game for Jeff Boyd back in a Winnipeg Blue Bomber uniform. He was the team's leading receiver last year, played out his option, went to the NFL, came back to Winnipeg, and has signed a new 3-year contract.
Well, Marcellus Green has to take him man-to-man. When you got a guy like Boyd in man-to-man coverage, you better give him something. He's laying off the deep one away, but he's catching the out.
Winnipeg, 1st and 10. The ball just inside the 12-yard line.
They've had success with it. They better watch him pull that corner up on him and take that outside away from Boyd.
Hufnagel. Touchdown to Jeff Boyd. Concentration by Jeff Boyd as he knew he was going to take a hit, but he reached up and hauled that throw in for the major score.
We just said they're going to roll that corner up, and they did. Marcellus Green just sat right in the flat. He was taking that outside away, and Boyd went to the post and made the catch. And as you say, he knew he was going to get this hit. Well-thrown football into the hole. Tripoli arrives just about the same time Boyd does.
So Jeff Boyd with his second touchdown, and the point after by Trevor Kennard, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead it by 8 with 5:37 remaining, and we'll return with the Blue Bomber kickoff after this. Well, when Jeff Boyd returned to the Blue Bombers, Cal Murphy said he had a problem trying to figure out how he would get him into the lineup, but it was a pleasant problem that he had to contend with. He had to make a decision where to remove an import from the roster. He decided that he could do it along his defensive line. And right now he has 3 Canadians playing those defensive line positions with the injury to Hassan Abubakar this afternoon.
Well, the way Boyd's playing, it doesn't matter. Just get him in the lineup.
Warren Hudson handling the kickoff, losing the football. Who's got it? Benny Thompson, I think, has come up with the ball.
Well, you can't put the ball on the ground. That's got to be close to about 5 fumbles today for the Toronto Argonauts. He's going to lose for you.
And the reaction of Bob Obilovich tells it all. 5:28 remaining in the ball game.
It looked like he was going to get away, and all of a sudden the ball wasn't there. Benny Thompson's there to get it. With 5 minutes left, Winnipeg take this down nice and easy and put it in the end zone, and they can just about close the door on him.
Benny Thompson has played a solid football game for Winnipeg this afternoon.
Well, you know, it's about his 4th game now starting, so he's probably really starting to enjoy it. He's familiar with it. He understands it.
Draw play with James Sykes. Penalty flags all over the place.
I would say we're going to get a holding call on Mike Hamlock. He's playing center, and it looked like he grabbed number 99, Gerald Bayless, and just pulled him down. And that flag came out in a hurry.
Well, early in the ball game, you'll recall the Bombers had problems blocking Bayless.
They're still having problems blocking Bayless.
Holding Winnipeg number 44, first down over.
Good call, Ron. You detected Hamlock holding, and so did the officials.
Boy, I'll tell you, Bayless, talking to Leo Cahill at halftime about Bayless, he said, boy, he's got quickness, and he does, because he's getting into that backfield in a hurry.
First and 20, Winnipeg. Inside to Perry Tuttle, and Tuttle is stopped at the 39-yard line. 4:50 is the time remaining. 24-16, Winnipeg leading Toronto. A dejected Warren Hudson at that Toronto Argonaut bench.
Well, this is that second down 12, second down 13 situation. Toronto needs the big play from the defense because they haven't gotten it from the offense. They need it from the defense right now.
And again, Hufnagel took too long in getting that play away. He's been caught twice now and calling an audible at the line of scrimmage.
Well, again, Brazeley was up on the line. You saw him pointing to his backs to come over here in case he blitzes, and then he went to a draw audible, but by then it's too late.
Time count violation, Winnipeg number 12, second down.
You know, we're looking at second down and almost 19 yards. It's a big decision. Do you run the draw and go ahead and kick it and hold them deep, or do you throw it?
Well, the draw play doesn't go anywhere. Sykes is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. So J.C. Watts, with that warm-up jacket on, getting set to go back into the ball game. The Blue Bombers on third down will be sending out the punting unit. 4:07 is the time left to play. Winnipeg leading by 8 points.
You know, they say you run more plays in the second and fourth quarter than you do in the first and third because of that last 3 minutes. But the Toronto Argonauts have only run 12 offensive plays in the fourth quarter. That's not enough. Usually you think about 70 plays per game is about average.
That's the way to get that.
Bob Cameron's third down kick is going to sail into the end zone. Graisley fumbled it, but then got it back. And that will go for a single point, and that could be a very big single point because it's now a 9-point spread. A 54-yard kick by Bob Cameron as J.C. Watts gets some final instruction from Bob Ovilovich before heading out onto the field.
From the gun.
From the gun. Shotgun.
Bob, you hear what I said? Yeah, is his elbow okay?
You heard Ovilovich asking Freddie Dunbar, the trainer, is his elbow okay? So that must have been what they were looking at.
25-16. Winnipeg in front of Toronto. The Argos first and 10 at their own 35-yard line. Penalty flag. J.C. Watts to Pearson, first down to the Winnipeg 54-yard line.
Pearson. Flags are down.
Offside against Winnipeg.
Get out, defense, let's go.
So the gain will stand. Paul Pearson taking it to the Winnipeg 54, a gain of 21.
They flooded this side with 3 receivers. A guy like J.C. Watts gets outside, one of them's going to be open, and Paul Pearson was wide open.
3:31 is the time remaining as the clock is running. The Argos send 3 receivers wide to the left. J.C. is forced to scramble. There's a penalty flag. He's got Soroshka open. Soroshka is hit by Benny Thompson down at the 25-yard line.
Well, this is
but it will be a holding call, I believe, against Toronto. Yes.
Yes, it is. Well, that's another big gainer wiped out. That's about 3 today.
2 for Chris Woods, and all Bob Ovilovich can do is shake his head. Chris Woods with a touchdown, wiped out by a penalty, that big punt return, and now this game to his replacement.
Holding Toronto number 66, first down repeated.
The holding call against Kelvin Prunster wipes out that completion to Mike Soroshka, who has replaced Chris Woods at that wideout spot for the Argos. 3:05 is the time left to play. First and 20 from the shotgun formation. J.C.'s pass is knocked down by Scott Flagel. It was intended for Darrell Smith.
You can tell by Scott's reaction, he felt he should have intercepted that one. The main thing, they didn't catch it.
So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers trying to hang on to their 9-point lead with 2:57 left to play. Coming up next week on Friday, Ottawa visits Calgary. On Saturday, Edmonton is at Hamilton, a game you'll see on CBC television. On Sunday, the BC Lions are at Montreal. The Toronto Argonauts are at Winnipeg. And a reminder as well that during the month of October, every CFL team will be playing a game for the Heart Fund, and those games coming up next week will contribute to the Heart Fund. If your ticket to that game is purchased at a tip-top store, 50% of the price you pay will go directly to the Heart Fund.
Step to the left. We got at least split with these guys.
Got to at least split with these guys. The reaction of Bob Ovilovich.
It means today and next week. They want one win for sure. They've got the work cut out for them today.
J.C. Watts being chased and caught by Prodanovic. The ball is loose. And Stan Mikolas scooped it up, but the whistle had gone. Well, the Winnipeg coaching staff talked about Rob Prodanovic, the rookie, and only his second game as a starter. They said he doesn't have the size, and that's obvious when you see him out of uniform. He has to rely on quickness. That time he did.
Well, we had a nice talk to him today. He said after that game last week, he said he was down to about 200 pounds, so I wouldn't exactly say he's a giant. But the quickness there paid off. He ran him down, and that defense has been tough the second half.
Third down punt by Hank Olisic. Taken by James Jefferson. Jefferson getting to the outside and forced out by David Marshall at that Toronto bench. 2:19 is the time left to play. Final word from Cal Murphy to John Hufnagel. Do you think he might be saying keep it on the ground?
What he's saying is, hey, John, we need a couple first downs, and if we have to kick the ball after that, that's okay. But don't you dare throw an interception. Don't want to turn it over.
1st and 10, Winnipeg. The Bombers are at their own 40-yard line. They lead by a score of 25-16. A victory would move Winnipeg within 2 points of first place in the Western Division. James Sykes trying to follow some blocking around that right side. But there were too many blue jerseys over there. However, that does take the clock down to 2:14, and it will start to run as soon as referee Jacques DeCarry blows the whistle.
You know that those blue jerseys down there also know that they're going to run the football on first down, so they're going to be up on the line of scrimmage just as that play showed. Get a matter of 2 yards on it. Main thing is you said the clock's running. It's down to about 2 minutes.
Darryl Moyer comes into the ball game on what appears to be a passing situation, but the Bombers go with the draw to James Sykes as the clock winds down to 1:53. David Marshall was there. He caught James Sykes in the backfield almost before he got the handoff from quarterback John Hufnagel.
Well, he did. He shot from that middle linebacker position in a hurry. 11-man block.
Carl Brazeley is the lone man back for this third down kick. The Argos only have 11 players out there. They'll only have a 10-man block attempt.
So
they were trying to go with 11 with only Carl Brazeley back, but they were a man short. Carl Brazeley returns the ball to the 37-yard line. You can hear the Argos yelling from the bench, Tripoli, and obviously Paul Tripoli was supposed to be out there on that punt return team.
Corner to flat. Quarterback's read. First thing he's going to look for is deep to the corner. If that's not there, he'll come back and look short in the flat.
1:28 is the time left. 45 yards, that kick by Bob Cameron.
Yeah, the reason for the corner is he can catch it and get out of bounds and stop the clock. Let's see who's running the corner.
Darrell Smith, the intended receiver. And Smith in a collision there with the safety, Scott Flagel, who came over to defend.
Well, whatever they was telling me, he didn't do it.
It will be 2nd and 10. The Argos are back at their own 38-yard line. They trail 25-16 with 1:24 left to play. The Edmonton Eskimos and BC Lions share first place in the West, each with 18 points. However, the Eskimos have played one less game, and a win here for the Blue Bombers would move them within 2 points of first place. J.C. Watts throwing deep for Keith Baker. He overthrew him by considerable. It will be 3rd and 10.
Well, it wasn't going to do him any good to run. They're at that point now, 25-16 with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. So he runs with the football, no big deal. They've got to score quick.
Conrad Holloway, the starting quarterback.
I know we are. Let's go, D. Come on, D.
Trying to send out some signals. What does angle mean?
It looks like it's just an in, down and into the middle. They're coming inside somebody.
And a timeout apparently has been called with 1:24 remaining, or there may be a problem with the time clock.
The guy over here was counting. Okay, let's go. What's the clock going?
Obilovich now complaining about the clock. But the initial protest about the clock, I think, came from the Winnipeg bench, and there was a problem. Did it not run down?
Did you hear that? Now that's a bad shot, Cal.
Where do you think you are, Calgary? That
even he had to laugh.
In reference to a game earlier this year involving Hamilton and the Stampeders. J.C. Watts throwing for Darrell Smith. It's knocked down by Ken Haley. A third down gamble. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will take over with 1:04 remaining at the Toronto 38-yard line.
Now that looked like an in pattern to the wide receiver. The problem was they chased him out of the pocket. So he was forced to do this and throw it deep. He's covered. He got excellent coverage by Haley. But why take a sack? You need the first down. He couldn't throw the end to the wide receiver when he wanted to. That's defense. The pressure got there.
The clock will not start on the turnover until the ball is snapped. But the Blue Bombers, leading by 9, will likely keep it on the ground and use up those remaining seconds. James Sykes is stopped at the 35-yard line. That takes the clock down to 1 minute. Marlon Jones came over to make the tackle. The Bombers still need a first down to run the clock out.
Yeah, that's always a test when you have about 1 minute and 4 seconds as to whether you can kill that off in 3 plays. Cal's taking no chances. He sent the play in with Taylor. We may go with this one here. Let's see.
Second down play, Winnipeg. James Sykes again. He is going to be stopped at the 33-yard line with the clock at 41 seconds.
Well, you ought to call timeout. Danny! You got it. He saw it. He saw it.
Obilovich signaling to the players on the field to call a timeout with 41 seconds remaining to stop the clock.
Well, the decision on the Winnipeg bench right now is what do you do with the football, 3rd and 5? Do you punt it, kick a field goal, run it, whatever? With the timeout, Huffnagel will come over and get the answer, but I don't think they'll punt it.
You know, there were some critics of John Huffnagel.
We've been playing real good. Yeah, check the short yardage if they
Yeah, it should won't make a difference. Yeah, I was just going to say, if they try a field goal, we just might as well just give them the center.
I was going to say about John Huffnagel, there were some critics who felt that Huffnagel as a starter couldn't be consistent in his play. Well, I think we have seen consistent performance from John Huffnagel since he took over for the injured Tom Clements.
Well, he sure has. As you said, he could have had all 3 victories except for that windblown last-second field goal try by Poplawski. But they have done a pretty good job, and Huffnagel's thrown the ball well. I mean, he hasn't turned it over too many times. I think he turned it over today, but outside of that, these Winnipeg quarterbacks are hitting about 60% of their passes. That's pretty good.
Pretty good quartet to throw to as well.
Yeah, that helps, but, you know, the 2 points in the win column's all that you get measured by, and he's got no complaints.
Third down punt by Bob Cameron. It bounces in the end zone, and the longer they let it roll around, the more time is going to run off the clock. Carl Brazeley finally picks it up, but the clock is down to 29 seconds. The single point makes it a 26-16 game as the Argos prepare to scrimmage from their own 35-yard line.
I didn't think they'd kick it. I really didn't. 3rd down and 5. I figured they'll just run Sykes again. Hope they get 5. If they don't, they would have given the ball up around the 30 anyway.
So with this Winnipeg Blue Bomber victory apparent, that is certainly setting up an interesting final month in the Canadian Football League's Western Division.
Yeah, well, they get bigger as they go along. You know, you always say that the ones in July are just as important, but boy, when you get to October, it's wild.
Keith Baker, the intended receiver, incomplete. 24 seconds remaining in the game. The Argonauts came into the game with a 7-4 record, and assuming that this will be their 5th loss of the year, all 5 of those losses to Western Division teams.
This is weird because Winnipeg, it looks like, may win one on the road, and that's been a rarity for them.
The Bombers have been unbeatable at home, but this would be only their 2nd road win of the season.
Another problem with the clock. Referee's over checking with the timekeeper.
When they snap the ball, you snap the clock.
A lot of help to the timekeeper. When they snap the ball, you start the clock.
What is it they say? Winners laugh and smile, losers say shut up and deal.
That's right. Deal the cards. There'll be another day. Soroshka takes the ball to the 44-yard line. Just short of a first down, it would appear. He was forced out by Benny Thompson. Carl Braisley has played a solid game this afternoon for the Argos. He, with his continual movement in the secondary, has caused some problems for John Huffnagel. Yeah, he's been shuffling back, coming up on the line, trying to fool Huffnagel, and he's done a good job of that today. Plus, when he's been called on to cover, he's done that too.
Soroshka again taken out of bounds by Delbert Fowler. A first down for the Argos up to the 52-yard line with 16 seconds left to play.
Well, that's the man, Conrad Holloway, that we said in the opening was going to determine their position in this 1986 season. I still believe that's true. He's going to have to do it. They played well enough the first half to win, not well enough the second.
When you look back at this ball game, that touchdown throw to Chris Woods that was called back could have been a major turning point. It would have made it a 14-1 ball game.
Yeah, and then you get so much emotion and momentum from something like that, and you make it tough on the other guys to come back, but just one of the breaks of the game, they go against you.
Just 11 seconds remaining in the ball game. It will be 2nd and 11. Soroshka makes the catch. Still on his feet, and he's down to the Winnipeg 44-yard line, and that should be the final play of the ball game. It is, as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the Toronto Argonauts by a score of 26-16 to move within 2 points of first place in the Western Division. Today's Carling O'Keefe Game Stars will each receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce gold coin presented by Tilly, quality in leather goods and travel wear, and by Nita, just great copiers, nothing else. Well, selecting our Carling O'Keefe Game Stars this afternoon was a difficult choice in a couple of areas, and we're going to keep you in suspense for a little longer as we try and get the 2 Game Stars into position down on the sidelines. And I think they are there now. So let's talk with John Huffnagel and James West. John Huffnagel, our offensive game star, our defensive game star, James West. Well, we're not going to get the opportunity right now to chat with them, but John Huffnagel, Ron, certainly came on in the second half particularly. In the first half, his stats weren't that bad, but he wasn't getting much yardage.
That's right. He was throwing the ball well, and statistics are really for losers. But the thing was, they adjusted at halftime, and they started to take advantage of it, and I think the defense had a lot to do with it. They would not allow the Argonauts to make any first downs, and the longer your offense is on the field, the better it will become, and Huffnagel got the offense going when it had to go.
We talked at the start of the game how the Blue Bombers rely on their linebackers. James West certainly came to play today.
I'll say, you know, he has been in every game that we have done, and we've done an awful lot of them, but I haven't seen him play any better than he played today. I think, as was mentioned during the telecast, they knew the linebackers had to come up. They had Rob Prodanovic in there, Stan Mikolas, and also Bob Marley. These guys, you don't expect them to get to the quarterback. I think the linebackers took it upon themselves to get it done.
Well, Marley and Prodanovic, a couple of rookies in there on that defensive line for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The linebackers played very well. James West was our Carling O'Keefe selection. Darrell Patterson also played well. Right now, let's go back to CFL Control and Brian Williams.
All right, thank you, Don. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming from behind to defeat the Toronto Argonauts in a pretty good football game this afternoon before just over 25,000 at Exhibition Stadium here in Toronto. Let's take a look at the conference standings, and we begin today with the Eastern Conference. That means Hamilton is very much alive in the battle for first place in the Eastern Conference, with the Argos losing today. Hamilton, of course, won in Ottawa last night. 2 Eastern teams will make the playoffs. It will be a 2-game total point series between Toronto and Hamilton. It's a different story in the West, where 4 teams will qualify. The question is, where are they going to play? In fact, who will make it? All 5 teams still with a shot at making the playoffs. Calgary's in Regina this afternoon. Don't forget the Winnipeg Blue Bombers now within 2 points of both British Columbia and Edmonton. The Bombers have 2 games remaining with the BC Lions and 1 with the Edmonton Eskimos. Tying up some loose ends on this Sunday afternoon, the Boston Red Sox have dethroned the Toronto Blue Jays as champions of the American League Eastern Division. Before a sellout crowd at historic Fenway in Boston today, the Bo Sox hammering the Jays, and the Boston Red Sox will now meet the California Angels for the right to go into the World Series against either Houston or the New York Mets. Right now, I'm going to change studios. Sports Weekend is up next. Greg Norman and his Australian team meeting Japan. They defend their title. World Team Golf is coming up next. Stay with us right here on CBC.
The executive producer of CFL football on CBC television, John Spalding. Today's game produced by Lawrence Kimber, directed by Ron Harrison, and our isolation director, Mo Waters.